What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is. We checking in. We got a lot of things to discuss now. The Charlotte Hornets, they looking to go and continue this win streak. Let's go. What's this, 9 straight we going for? It's 105, 104 in Atlanta. This is the post game report. You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports TV. We're gonna bring you some coverage on this game. You already know what time it is. What a performance tonight from the Charlotte Hornets. Right now we got Grant Williams getting into it with the officials. This should be a good game, y'all. I knew this was gonna be a good one, and as it looks at things, it hasn't disappointed at all. I repeat, this is the post game report. We got Lamelo Ball, NB1, the one of one, taking on the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta in a big time showdown. I'm gonna give you some stat lines right now. LaMelo Ball, NB1, the one of one, has 17 points. Brandon Miller has 14 points. Musa Diabate has 5. Bridges chipped in with 18. Con Knipple came in with 20. Uh, Green came in with 8. Sion James with 3. Ryan Kalkbrenner with 6. Terrence Mann with 3. Grant Williams with 11. Spectacular. Now we go to Atlanta. You got Rissicher with 18 points. Johnson with 25. Okongu came in with 16, 5, and 2. Dyson Daniels, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Nikhil Alexander Walker, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. CJ McCollum, 12 points. Crispet came in with 8. Landell came in with 5. So these are all your contributors for the Atlanta Hawks. The Charlotte Hornets and the Hawks, the Hawks, they got a low lead. It's going back and forth. 1 minute it looks like Charlotte is taking control of this game. The next minute it looks like Atlanta is trying to get back control of it. So it's just one of those games. It's been one of those evenings, y'all. Salute to all y'all in the building. It's Flight Sports TV. We got the post game report for the people. Let me know your thoughts on this game. How has the Charlotte Hornets been able to hold up? We all knew this was going to be a tough game in Atlanta. My man in chat, Neo, says if the NBA wants the streak to end, they'll make it happen. Hopefully, Hornets can work through the physicality. Yeah, but that's how Atlanta play. Atlanta, they play physical. I knew this game was going to be tough. Atlanta, the last game they played tough. Atlanta could have lost and gave up last game, and they didn't. So going up against Charlotte tonight, they understand the ramifications. The more and more Charlotte wins, even if something was to go wrong, it's all about sustainability. Hopefully the Hornets are not just hell bent to a streak. Let's say when the streak ends, they could still win games after that. They don't just go on a losing streak. You can't just go back to how it was just because something went wrong one game. That's my only fear for Charlotte. I just feel like this gravy train it needs to continue. The Hornets right now, they only got 7 points in the fourth quarter, and Atlanta's already out the gate with 18. So that's pretty alarming. If the Charlotte Hornets want to win, they need to buckle down defensively. They need to put some points on the board because right now Atlanta is rolling. At home, Atlanta, they play very well at home. This is going to be a hard game for Charlotte to win. Point blank, period. And there's reinforcements coming for Atlanta. We always got to monitor Atlanta because they're right there in the playoff race when it comes to Charlotte. Atlanta's right there. You talking about Atlanta and Chicago, they direct threats to the Charlotte Hornets, playing chances. I'm going to say playing because I think getting to the playoffs is going to be very tough, outright. Not to say that it can't happen. It's just, we got to acknowledge it's going to be very tough. Right now, the Hornets are in the 10th seed. They're 24 and 28. The Hawks are 26 and 27. So this will be a devastating blow if Charlotte could somehow defeat Atlanta tonight and put them on the back burner. But right now, the fourth quarter is 105-108. It's 7:43 to go in the fourth quarter. Something tells me you're going to need 125, 130 to win this game. That's what it's looking like right now for the Charlotte Hornets. It's looking like they're going to need about 125 points to 130 points just to secure this victory. Now let's see if they could do that. It's 105, 108, 740 to go in the fourth quarter. Here we go. Oh, Bridges, skywalking. Miles Bridges with 20 points, 9 of 11 from the field. That's spectacular. Here we go. It's 107, 108, 720 to go in the fourth. We got Johnson with it. Johnson going all the way to the cup in the mid-range, and the floater couldn't convert. Here comes Bridges. Bridges got the rebound. They kick it out to Con Knipple, back to Bridges. Bridges surveying the landscape. They kick it to Con, back to Brandon Miller. B. Miller is surveying the landscape. He gives it to Lamelo. Lamelo has it. Lamelo pump fakes a three. Back to Brandon Miller for three. Miller, he couldn't convert it. The Charlotte Hornets couldn't secure the offensive rebound. Here goes the Hawks. Johnson all the way to the cup. And Johnson is fouled. He's going to the line for 2 shots. So you got to be careful right now. Charlotte right now, they're in a tough spot. Atlanta, they're not going to go down easy. Houston, if you was monitoring that game, like Dex was saying, Charlotte ran Houston off the floor. You're not going to run Atlanta off the floor. They got young players to basically, run with you. So if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you have to be very mindful of that. Point blank period. It's 6:50 to go, 6:51 to go here in the fourth quarter. Let me know your thoughts on this game, y'all. It's Flight Sports TV. Salute to all y'all in the chat right now. The Charlotte Hornets are continuing that epic tear into the postseason. They're looking to make one of those runs. Let's see if they could do it. Only time will tell. Here we go. LaMelo Ball crossing half court. LaMelo Ball has it. LaMelo kicks it out to B. Millie. Brandon Miller has the ball. Brandon Miller. He finds Bridges. Bridges going all the way to the cup and is off the glass. His money is 109, 110. 6:25 to go in the fourth. They kick it to Johnson. Johnson has the ball. Here we go. Rissicher, he misses a mid-range jumper, rebounded by Miles. Here comes Con Knipple. This is the post-game report, ladies and gentlemen. Can the Charlotte Hornets keep the gravy train rolling? Con Knipple gives it to Bridges to Musa, and Musa's fouled. He's going to the line for 2 shots. So Charlotte has an opportunity to take the lead. Let's see if Musa can convert these free throws. Only time will tell. Salute to all y'all that's in the building. It's Flight Sports. LaMelo Ball, MB1 to 101, and the Charlotte Hornets is trying to do something. Let's see if they can, let's see if they're successful. Musa hits the first free throw. He ties the game. LaMelo's checking out. Credit to Charles Lee. He's staying consistent with his rotations. You see, LaMelo Ball is going back on the bench. So they're being very cautious when it comes to LaMelo Ball's minutes. You can only do nothing but respect that. This is a close game, y'all. Serious ramifications. Let me know your thoughts on who's gonna win this game. I know what I know. Everybody know I got Charlotte. Let's go. Atlanta with it in the mid-range. We got Rissicher to Johnson. Johnson missed it. Rebounded by Con Knipple. Here goes Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges crosses half court to kick it to Con, to Musa. Musa in the paint, and Musa puts the Charlotte Hornets up 113, 110. 113, 110. Shout out Lit John. He says, we need it. Yes. Here we go. Nickeil Alexander-Walker misses the floater. Let's go. Brandon Miller gets the board. He kick it to Sion. Sion has the ball. Sion James with it. Sion James surveying the landscape. They kick it to Con. Con to Don. Con to Musa. To B. Millie. To Sion. Sion James back to Musa. Let's go. Hornets up 15. Putting the pressure on the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta just called that timeout. Hornets up 5. Hornets up 5, 115, 110. I mean, seriously, how long is this win streak going to continue? That's the $1 million question right now, ladies and gentlemen. How long is this gravy train going to continue? Listen, man, don't put no cap on these Charlotte Hornets, y'all. Do not put no cap on these Hornets. This is what it's like when the Hornets are healthy. They are a serious threat in the Eastern Conference right now. They are putting immense pressure. They win this game, I'm telling you. It's like the more and more they win, the more and more they up the ante. That's what's happening right now. The ante continues to get upped. Let's see if Charlotte could get this W. You keep saying, damn, this win right here, this gonna mean more. This win right here is gonna be you can't put no cap on the Charlotte Hornets right now. And their ceiling, to this season. The ceiling is very high. This is the Hornets, y'all. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. I appreciate y'all for checking in. It's the post-game report. Salute to all y'all. Shout out to NEU773 in the chat. Shout out 704 Little John. Shout out to Dex in the chat. You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports. Let's see if the Hornets can successfully get this W, because we all know what that would mean. Khan is definitely a winner. Khan Knippel has changed the fortune. That the Hornets are not doing what they're doing if Khan Knippel is not available to them. Give credit to Peterson and company for making that call and getting Khan Knippel, because they could have took a risk with Ace Bailey. They could have took a risk with other players, but Khan Knippel was the right pick right there. Coming from a winning program, the Charlotte Hornets, they need all the winners that they can get. And what we don't underestimate is what Khan does for Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller was always looked at as that wing for Charlotte. Now you got Khan to alleviate that pressure off Brandon. Brandon doesn't have to be dynamic every single night. You have Khan there to help you out on the wing and alleviate pressure, drawing doubles. He draws a lot of attention, and he running off screens like he Reggie Miller. So, I mean, it's crazy. All of these things bode well for Lamelo, Bridges, everybody. There's no reason why everybody's game is expanded when you got another guy on the floor drawing that much head waves and attention. So give credit to the Charlotte Hornets, man. They're finally turning their fortunes around. It took a while, but we here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We're coming back from commercial break. Let's see if the Charlotte Hornets can get this dub. CJ McCollum, the veteran, is checked in. Khan Knippel is on. The Hornets on the 8-0 run. Let's see if they can secure this dub. Here we go. CJ McCollum kicks it to Johnson, and he couldn't convert it. Rebounded by Musa Diabate. Musa Diabate kicks it to Sion James. Sion James gives it to Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller has it picked up by Dyson Daniels. Here we go. We got Khan Knippel with it. Khan to Musa. And no conversion. CJ McCollum has the ball. Back to Johnson. And Charlotte Hornets get another defensive stop. It's 4:20 to go right now in the fourth quarter. Let's see if the Hornets can get. The Hawks have 0 made field goals in the last nearly 4 minutes. So the Hornets defensively is showing their prowess. That's what we want to see from the Hornets. Here we go. Khan to Don with it picked up by the veteran CJ. You give it to Bridges. Bridges one leg 3 ball in and out. Let's see if the Hornets could somehow finish this game off. Johnson all the way to the cup, and he converts it off the glass. And one? Wow, they called the foul there. That was crazy. What's going on, Dex? It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is. It's post-game report. What's your thoughts on this game? The Hornets looking to go 9 straight.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, voice of the voiceless, the people's champ. For like, this is a really good game right now. I love the way the competition is rolling down. Charlotte Hornets up by 3. This Atlanta is not going anywhere. They refuse to be pushed out of the play-in situation, while the Charlotte Hornets is trying to force their will. And I love every minute of it. Like, the ball distribution in this game is incredible. And Miles Bridges, can we say enough about Miles Bridges turning up the heat in a heated battle up in ATL?
Yes. Shout out to Miles Bridges, man, showing that leadership. That's what we need. Here we go. LaMelo Ball has it picked up by Nikhil. I got 3:40 to go here in the fourth. Khan Knippel, Khan to Don. Khan Knippel kicks it to Musa. We got nail turnover. LaMelo kicks it to Bridges. Bridges with the ball. Bridges going to the cup. And Bridges His foul. Bridges, his physicality is tremendous. You know, you spoke about Miles. What do you think about Miles? Look like he putting the team on his back right now.
I love it because you have Miles Bridges have been an unsung hero throughout this season. Like, and not much has been mentioned about Miles because of the insurgence of Con Knipple, the spectacular rookie who has exceeded all expectations this season and will be highlighted in the NBA All Star Rookie Challenge or Rookie Sophomore
That's
Challenge and
right.
things of that nature. So yeah, Miles Bridges is doing what Miles Bridges should do and what we want him to do in these type of situations. Miles Bridges is shooting a phenomenal 10 for 13 flight. That is incredible on the road playing a play in contenders team while everybody else is steadfast during their duty.
Yes, we got a commercial break here. What yeah, we got a commercial break here. What's your thoughts on what the Charlotte Hornets have to do to secure the W? Because they on a run right now. You said Atlanta, they're not letting up. Is it more Lamelo? Is it more Miles? What's the dosage that's needed?
Well, I think someone needs to come in and help Miles. I know Con Knipple is having a excellent game. He's 7 for 12 from the field with 20 points. He's only 4 points behind Miles Bridges, who leads the Charlotte Hornets in scoring tonight. Brandon Miller and Lamelo Ball been kind of off a little bit. They're getting their shots up, but the shots is not falling in the percentile that they probably would like. So more Miles, more Con, and less turnovers. Let's take care of the ball and ride this one out. Like I think the Hornets could do it. They're up two.
How long does this streak end, man? I mean, it seemed like is it any ceiling on this team, in your opinion?
Well, yes, this team has a ceiling because they're not championship contenders, of course. But the streak can go on. Like I said, they can go on to about 13 wins. Like I said, 11, but it could go up to 13 because the heat is turning up for the Charlotte Hornets, and people are waiting for them when they come to town. So they won't sneak up on anybody playing like this. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I just found it very crazy how they just changed their fortunes. It's crazy. So salute the Miles, salute the Mellow. What do you think of Charles Lee's rotations? They seem like it's for the betterment of the squad.
well, I think right now the rotation looks pretty good. He's lying. He's relying heavily on his top five, which is what you're supposed to do and what you should have been doing since his inception of a Charlotte Hornet head coaching job. But he's learning. He's coming along tonight. I love the way he rotated tonight. He's keeping a hot hand on the floor. Miles Bridges and Connor Nipple with the chunk of the minutes, as well as Brandon Miller. So let's see how they finish this out in these last minute and 42 seconds. Like Charlotte up five. I mean, Hornets up five.
Yes, most definitely. We're coming back from commercial on my end. Salute to these Hornets. Let's see if they can continue this streak. Everybody's excited for Charlotte. People are already crowning them as the playing squad already. So it's spectacular to see where they come from. We back with it. We back with it, y'all. Salute to all y'all that's in the building. The Charlotte Hornets. I got 117, 115 on my end. LaMelo Ball has it. Picked up by, looks like that's Johnson. Let's see if they can hold on. Here we go. 150 to go. LaMelo Ball with it. LaMelo going to the cup. They kick it to Miles. Back to Con to Don for three. And it's money. Oh, my goodness. Shots like that. That's going to do it. These are dagger hitting shots right here, Dax. These are daggers. Here we go. I can't believe this. Johnson with it. Johnson nearly loses it, but it's Hornets basketball. It's Hornets basketball.
Connor Nipple with 6 3 pointers tonight, like 6 of 11 from beyond the arc.
That's crazy. Winning plays. Winning plays. This guy's a winner, man. Bona fide.
Fast
All right.
clock engaged. Let's go, baby. Going down to the wire. Fast clock engaged. Let's go.
Let's go. You slightly ahead of me on this one. I got CJ missed that, but Johnson got it. That was that Dyson Daniels? That was Dyson Daniels who put that out. Let's see if the Hornets could secure this dub. I see them up 3 on my end. Lamelo Ball has it. Nikhil is on him. Fast clock just engaged on mine. Back to Con the Don, top of the key 3 ball. Couldn't convert it. Rebounded. Here we go. Johnson has the ball for the Hawks. Back to Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels to the cup. And he couldn't convert it. Con, big grown man rebound. Melo. Hornets up 3, 120-117. Is it Hornets going for 9 straight? Lamelo to the cup. Oh, come on. That's a foul. See, the referees don't give him shit. So now it's Charles Lee. Like, what the hell? Lamelo turned the ball over. He only had 2 turnovers, though. But that was just a tough turnover at that time. So what do you think about this possession here? They got to get a stop, of course.
Definitely got to get a stop. And most likely, I think the Hornets will get a stop.
Yeah.
They have turned up their defense also. Like, keep in mind now, the last outing, the team failed to reach 100 points. So when's the last time we can say that the Hornets played good enough defense in this era of basketball, of running and gunning and chucking up threes, that they keep their opponent under 100 points?
Nah, that's facts. LaMelo Ball chopping it up there with Kemba. Let's see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. LaMelo Ball, MB1, the 1-of-1 in the Charlotte Hornets, looking to go for 9 straight W's. How spectacular would that be? 9 straight. So they earned the right. So a lot of teams call for some of these Hornets players, but Jeff Peterson said they earned the right to finish. You know, they earned that. So give credit to the Charlotte Hornets for earning the right. That's what we want to see. Shout out to all y'all that's in the building right now. You already know what this is. Flight Sports TV.
Charles Lee playing musical chairs with Lamelo Ball and Zion James. Zion James is out there giving all he can, 4 personal fouls. So he's not taking anything back with him. I can tell you that.
That's right. Uh-oh. Looks like we got a foul. We got free throws? Don't tell me we got free throws, man.
Yeah, I got free throws. It's a nail biter play. It's a nail biter.
Who fouled him? Musa? They called that on Melo or Musa? They called it on Miller. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, Miller. I think that's 5 for Miller, right? 5 fouls for Miller. One more, he just qualified.
Man. I mean, Hornets still control it.
Oh, my bad.
One?
No. It's another ball.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're ahead of me. Hopefully he just scored. You know, any state that you in, you know, you get blackout games, so you get delayed. Being that they playing the Hawks, you got an upper hand. Tonight it's 120-119. LaMelo Ball has it. They fouled LaMelo.
LaMelo Ball will go to the free throw line flight, and these are crucial free throws with less than 25 seconds left to go. So this is where leadership comes in at. Because Miles Bridges kind of saying, yes. Actually, he made both, to be honest. 122-119. 12 seconds left to go. We got 12 seconds to extend the streak. Flight, can they do it? 12 seconds. Can they extend the streak to 9, Flight?
I can. We might have to take it away from it at 12 seconds on the defensive possession. I got 18 points for LaMelo. I got him just making that second free throw. He perfect at the free throw line. Shout out to They hit a three.
No, Brandon Miller.
He didn't get hurt, did he?
No. He's showing leadership like they hit these free throws. Brandon Miller is 100% this year on free throws, I believe, right? No, well, maybe not this year, but I think he's got like 30-something free throws in a row. Yes, he made both of them. This could be over, Flight.
Yeah.
This could be over. Snyder, timeout. Peel call for the Atlanta Hawks. Snyder called timeout. 12 seconds left, Flight.
Oh, yeah, we got him. We got him.
Oh, my God. Is it a such thing as a 5-point play?
I don't know. Charlotte got him on this one. They're going. There's 9 straight.
Wow. 124-119. The Hornets is up 5 on the road in a hostile environment because they did not throw out the welcome mat for the Charlotte Hornets coming down the 85 corridor. You know, Charlotte went south, and Charlotte looks like they're going to take a victory back up north to the Queen City. And this is magnificent. The NBA will be clamoring over the Charlotte Hornets. And what spectacular play for Miles Bridges and the maturity of Con Knipple, the rookie, to play such steadfast in an environment like this where the Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks are somewhat southern rivalries like.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree. Like I said, they're right down the block from each other. So, I mean, that's crazy. Give credit to Lamelo, Miller, Khan, all of them. Showing tremendous leadership, like you said.
Well, this is what happens when you get out the way. See, Charles Lee, he's learning how to get out the way. It might be tough for him, and he might be biting his lip from time to time, trying to stay out the way, but you rely on your best talent. You rely on your top 5. They're the top 5 for a reason. So a good coach knows the top 5 is responsible, night in and night out, to lead to victory. And if they can get assistance from ancillary pieces off the bench, so be it. But they should not depend on that. And the way that Charles Lee is rotating now, he's showing that he believes in his top 5 talent on the roster slate.
I totally agree with you. The Hornets are definitely in the driver's seat here. I can't believe this. Can't believe that the Charlotte Hornets, are here at this moment. It's like we can't stop them. They're gonna just keep going up, up, and up if they keep winning. They gave up too much ground, though. We're playing like this. Hornets could have been a top 5 seed in the East. This shows you, man. They gave up too much. Here we go. Oh my goodness, Brandon Miller nearly stole it. Shit, next game they got the Pistons though. That I don't know.
Bring them on. Bring on the Pistons.
They in Charlotte though. Where says the Pistons, they just took out the Knicks win streak.
I know, sure did. And we talked about that the other day because I thought the Knicks was #1 seed, and you corrected me by stating factually that Detroit Pistons was the #1 seed, and they did stop a 8-game winning streak. So Charlotte is the hottest team in the NBA right now. Can the Pistons stop back-to-back 9-game win streaks? I don't know. That's a tough call, Flight.
Yeah, it is. I think that, I don't know about Charlotte because, the Knicks, they was ready for the Knicks. They got up for the Knicks. The Knicks beat them in the playoffs. Detroit looked like they just ready for the Knicks. They just, that's the team I see. But Charlotte might be able to sneak up on them and beat them, but not the Knicks. Their whole situation this year is about New York. They want New York. They want to see New York in the playoffs. They can't wait to see New York.
I think Charlotte Hornets is chalkboard material, and I find it hard to believe. Me watching basketball for recognizing nearly 80 years of basketball, that a team that is the hottest in the league will sneak up on anybody. I think they're going to be ready for Charlotte, but will they be ready for this pace? That's the key. Like, will they be ready for the pace of the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah. You got a point, man. You got a point, man. What a game. What a game.
10 seconds remaining to see if the Charlotte Hornets can close this out, which the the Atlanta Hawks is trying to find something in their wheelhouse to evaporate this 5 point deficit. I don't see it, Flight. Like I said, I see the Hornets rolling. They continue to roll. And waiting on the Pistons, the bad boys, the new addition of the bad boys to come in town. Because see, the Charlotte Hornets, what you kind of look at with a critical eye is that the Charlotte Hornets, they're not only winning, Flight, but they're playing steadfast basketball and it's beautiful to the eye. We know the Charlotte Hornets can play some really bad basketball and have bad posture and behavior on the court. But now it seems like from top to bottom, they feel like they can get the job done. And this is what you want. So the confidence that has been imparted in the Charlotte Hornets roster is fantastic and to some degree phenomenal. So credit goes to that coaching staff for imparting that type of confidence and coaches allowing the players to play without suspicion and impediments. Like,
Yeah, good call. Good call. Salute to these Charlotte Hornets, y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Lamelo Ball, MB1, the one of one. They're going for 9 straight W's. God damn it! Can't nobody stop the Charlotte Hornets. They on in fuego. Everybody better stay out the way, or they're gonna get wiped the hell out. Point blank. Period. Y'all know what time it is. That's what's going on. 124, 119 for Charlotte. They just smacking teams around, man. Just slapping them up. Every team you think, oh man, this could be it. Charlotte just figuring out a way. And you got to think about Kobe White. Kobe White sitting there watching us. I know he got sent to Charlotte. I know he would have loved to have went to LA or something like that. But he's on this Hornets bench, and this win streak is just bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. There's got to be inspiring basketball. He's got to feel like, man, I can come in here and affect this situation. We could do this, and this. This team is a lot better than it is on paper. What you think, Dex?
yeah, speaking about Kobe White, Flat, I'm glad that you brought his name up. He's dealing with a calf injury, and Kobe White trade had been amended, Flight. So there have been new developments in Kobe White's trade in which the Charlotte Hornets benefit based on Kobe White injury has been found during the medical procedures. So the Charlotte Hornets would rescind one of the second round picks and they'll go back to Charlotte, but they have amended the trade and Kobe White will remain a member of the Charlotte Hornets, even though his medical clearance was shady.
Good call, Dex. Good call. Again, I repeat, it is a post-game report. The Charlotte Hornets, the gravy train continues. Can't nobody stop them. That's what it seems to be. They are the hottest team officially. They went from the laughing stock of the league, of probably the laughing stock of sports, to a team that look now, you can't stop them. Can't put no cap on the squad.
Well, there you go, Flight. You've been hyperbolic. Cap, yes, there's the cap on Charlotte Hornets, and nobody see them winning the championship. But they can serve it to a play-in and make it interesting down at the bottom and stir it up right amongst the bottom feed in this competition in the Eastern Conference. But I believe there is a cap on them. But let me share this with you, Flight. I don't want to be such a pessimist. You know what I mean? I just have to be factual. I just don't want people to be too hyped up. Let's stay even keel, but be happy, celebrate it, because this is something that the Charlotte Hornets fan haven't seen in damn near 26 years. But But nevertheless, though, Flight, the minutia are being very, very connecting, and that is something that's been overlooked. And the Charlotte Hornets in this game, where the Atlanta Hawks is fighting for their lives, right? Like, and there has been a deficit of 9 points, right? Charlotte had a 9 point lead. Atlanta had a 9 point lead. Each team battled back. So that showed their intestinal fortitude in this game and made it very much exciting. And did you know when we look at some of the minutia tail of the tape in this game, the Charlotte Hornets were basically down 40% of this game, like, and for them to bounce back in the latter portion of this game and take a 5 point lead on the road in a hostile environment in a place they are not loved at all, especially when Ice Trey was there, right? Because you got Ice Trey, you got Lamelo, you got Charlotte, you got Atlanta Hawks, you got the Battle of the South and things of that nature, divisional rivalries. So that portion of the minutia that the Charlotte Hornets was down 40% of this game, and Atlanta Hawks was up 54% of this game. It shows you that the Charlotte Hornets have passed through the test of fire, and this is why, if I'm anybody, I'm going to place wager on the Charlotte Hornets against the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to take the number. And if you bold enough, some might even take the money line and really come up. Because if you chuck the money line tonight, oh my God, you're sitting comfortable right now. You don't have no problem paying your mortgage or your car note. And you might buy a beautiful gift for your Valentine's mate.
Well, I agree. Yeah, shout out to
Charlotte dominated. Yes, once again, the minutia of the tail of the tape, Charlotte dominated the interior flight. And this is something that has not really been spoken of how dominant Charlotte Hornets have been inside the paint, because we always seem to highlight the Charlotte Hornets is very thin when it comes to manning the restricted area. But tonight, the Charlotte Hornets is a plus 10 in the rebounding uh, section of the minutia of the tail of the tape. That's excellent.
That's right. It looked like there's something going on here with the clock. Right,
No, that clock is dead.
yeah, it's over with. Hornets won.
Yeah. Hornets won 126, 119 flight. And despite the Hornets winning tonight flight, they lost the battle of fast break points. The
Mm.
pace, the frenetic pace of the Charlotte Hornets did not win the battle of the fast break points. So that shows you that they can slow the ball down and grind it out a little bit. Despite the Charlotte Hornets being one of the top three teams in pace in the NBA per 100. Tonight they lost that battle of the fast break points, and they still pulled out a significant win, a plus 6 for them, and they covered the money spread. The Charlotte Hornets, Queen City, is balling right now. Like,
Yeah, Hornets right now they win 9 straight, one game shy from tying all-time franchise record. So this is what we're seeing from Charlotte, man. You know, they breaking records now. They winning. You know, you got to show nothing but respect. You know, something like I can't believe this is happening. You know, for the Charlotte Hornets, just win after win after win. I'm just looking at Lamelo and a Congo politicking right there. Something tells me later on in the future they may become teammates. I don't know. You know, it just seemed like somewhere down the line the stars gonna align for that. But the Hornets, they held the lead in the fourth quarter. They continue to show, you know, that they're one of the best teams right now in the league. I mean, we got to acknowledge that. They're a tough team. You see Musa, he got in the mix a little bit. You know, he got a little physical, got a little rowdy. And Musa Diabate, you know, he showed, you know, what he's all about. So give this guy major props, man. I'm very happy for the Charlotte Hornets, man. Very happy. You know, the Charlotte Hornets, they cooked up big time. You know, this is what you want to see. This is what you want to see from the Charlotte Hornets. Shout out Chuck Morris. Shout out uh, T3 and D. Salute to all y'all that's in the building right now that pulled up. You know, got the post-game report for the Charlotte Hornets. Trade deadline has came and went, and look what's going on. You know, W after W after W after W. I'm happy that the Charlotte Hornets are not electing to move anybody. You know, because right now you don't want to mess this up. This shit is going too good right now. You know, to call yourself messing up what's happening. So, shout out to Charlotte. Again, let me give you the stat line reports. Lamelo Ball tonight, 19 points in 31 minutes, 1 rebound, 9 assists, 2 steals. Brandon Miller with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Musa Diabate with 11 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists. Miles Bridges with 26 points. Con Knipple with 23. So all of these are bright signs for Charlotte. You know, that's what was able to propel them to the next level. And Green chipped in today with 8. Dex, you got any unsung heroes tonight for the Charlotte Hornets? Anybody out there outside of LaMelo that may have caught your attention?
Well, Miles Bridges, like I said earlier, to me, is
Hey,
definitely
y'all get ready to go to bed. Potty. What'd you say?
Yeah, Miles Bridges is definitely an unsung hero because I don't think he's getting mentioned enough during this win streak for his contribution to the Charlotte Hornets and its continuance of winning basketball and good behavior out there on the court. So 10 for 14 tonight for Miles Bridges. He was pretty pretty controlled from the 3-point line. He only put up 4 3-pointers and hit 1, so he was 25% from there. But that's regardless of the point. He went out there just chucking up shots. So he played within the frame of the stratagem from Coach Charles Lee, and he was very successful in doing that. And Musa, double-double, 15 large rebounds, was a highly contributor to the Charlotte Hornets controlling that restricted area. So those two are the unsung heroes for me in tonight's game, beating the play-in contender, the Atlanta Hawks, big brother of Charlotte, as Charlotte goes down south and take one from the Atlanta Hawks. And it just showed me that the maturity, see, like I talk about the minutia, right? The maturity of the Charlotte Hornets going into Atlanta on the weekend. You hear what I'm telling you? Like, even though Charlotte did make a few moves today, away KJ Sampson and Pat Connaughton, but outside of that, the Charlotte Hornets went to a party city who have a lot of adult entertainment, and they stay within the framework of their mindset to win and be ready and have the attrition to fight to the end. And they kept their swords up, they kept their shields out front, and they did not break down to the culture, if I may say that, of the Atlanta metropolitan city area. And that is great for this team because we know that sometimes they can come in and be a little goofy when it comes to these big cities and that adult entertainment. The Charlotte Hornets was very, very mature, and you could tell that they came in on their curfew time. Like,
Quiet. Yeah, man, you're right about that. The 9 straight for Lamelo. I think that's just unquestioned. Undeniable. What he brings to the table. Um, it's not just Lamelo Ball. Right now, I'm looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers as James Harden is making his debut tonight. Um, what I will say is this: I don't know if they're gonna beat the Detroit Pistons, but I just want the Charlotte Hornets. I'm gonna keep saying this. I don't want them to be defined by this winning streak. I hope that this is a complete, 180 of a basketball team, because a team that's bound by this streak, is going to live and die on this streak. We still don't really know what version of the Hornets, we really have until they suffer a little adversity, unfortunately. They haven't really had any, but they have played in some tough matchups, leading into their game against the Pistons. The Pistons, to me, I think they're going to be ready for them. They got the kid Thompson now, who's going to be defending LaMelo, picking him up all over the floor. You got Cade Cunningham. But even in Houston, the Thompson, the other Thompson brother, he had a hard time dealing with LaMelo. LaMelo did him filthy. So I expect the same thing for the brother. Um, but like I said, we can't rule out Bickerstaff and whatever they's going to bring to the table. They're going to feel very confident in that matchup against the Hornets. Let's see what happens. And then what's so crazy about this stretch to me, why I feel this is a very hard stretch of games, is because they actually going to be double backing on some teams that they beat. So if they were to somehow beat some of these teams, I would be shocked. I'm gonna keep 100 with you. You're talking about, okay, Detroit alone is just crazy. Okay, then you're gonna go up against Atlanta. Atlanta's coming to town. You just beat Atlanta in a nail biter. They're not going for that. Houston, you beat Houston. You ran Houston off the floor. They coming to town. So these are the games I'm looking at. Like, oh man, I don't know really about Charlotte. I mean, in these games, but I'm confident that they're gonna figure something out because they've been figuring it out all the way. Dex, what do you think about the games? Okay, what do you think about Detroit, Atlanta, and Houston coming up? Especially Houston and Atlanta, because those are two teams that they beat on their home floor. Now they come into Charlotte looking to amend what happened on their home floor. What do you think about these matchups coming up?
well, Detroit is one thing, right? Because Detroit spent a lot of energy for like beating the New York Knicks, and that was a um, a heavy mindset. That was a heavy mindset game, and so did they stretch themselves a little bit coming in beating the New York Knicks, and will they have that mental fortitude to withstand the frenetic pace of the Charlotte Hornets? And who will rise up to the occasion in that game? Houston coming around full circle. They haven't changed their spots. They're leopard, but they haven't changed their spots. They're coming in with the same style of basketball they had when they was at home down in H Town. So if the Charlotte Hornets get out with good pace and make their shots and minimize their turnovers, it'll be the same thing for Houston. And the Charlotte Hornets could win that season series against Houston. It's been a long time since the Charlotte Hornets won a season series against the Houston Rockets. So Atlanta, I think they're just better than Atlanta. I think Atlanta, Jalen Johnson is a stud. We understand what he can do out there in the court. We've seen it. We saw 2 years ago as he was pushing out Sadiq Bey and everybody, John Collins and company. Um, and now he's become a man. Trey Young is gone, and the reason why Trey Young is gone because of the ascension of Jaden Johnson. You see, Big O coming into his manhood as well. The Atlanta Hawks is a good team, coached by a very stringent Quinn Snyder. I just believe the Charlotte Hornets is just a better team. Their roster is better than the Atlanta Hawks. So I think they can win against Atlanta again and win that season series and that division challenge amongst the Atlanta Hawks. Now after that, it continues to get tough. So nobody's crying crocodile tears for the Charlotte Hornets. There's no excuses. All you got to do is go out there, play the game. Charles Lee, stay out the way. Continue to rely heavy on your top five talent on your roster. Stop trying to figure something out and find a diamond in the rough on your bench. That's you already got Musa Diabate. That was your diamond in the rough. There's nothing else down there where you can rely heavy on. We understand that Grant Williams is coming off injury, and Josh Green is what he's not corporal anymore. He's not an apparition anymore. Josh Green is coming into a physical form in this dimension. And we want to continue to see that from Josh Green and even more because Josh Green has been a disappearing act too long for the Charlotte Hornets. So let's get in there, Josh Green. Remain in this dimension. Do not fall back into an apparition. Do not fall back into a ghost. Do not fall back to a corporeal image. Do not fall back to a silhouette. Be physical. Be strong. Hit your open shots, and the Charlotte Hornets will continue to roll. Like,
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Dax. They're going to continue to roll. Shout out to my man Joseph Abrams in the chat. Shout out to Chuck Morris, Anthony Jefferson. Salute to all the Hornets fans all around the world. The Charlotte Hornets, they continue their winning streak. They continue their winning ways. Can't nobody stop them. They're the hottest team in the NBA right now, point blank, period. Now they will take their talents, against the Detroit Pistons. They will be on their home floor. Hopefully they could do some home cooking. Now, we all know how red hot the Pistons have been all season, but you got to remember something. The Pistons, I believe, got the same losses as the Oklahoma City Thunder. Charlotte, they beat OKC in the midst of all of this, so they was the number one seed out west. Why not the Charlotte Hornets add the number one seed to the East to this list? If Detroit comes out anywhere close to half-stepping, Charlotte will beat them. Cade Cunningham, you have Lamelo there. It seems like when there's another player on that other side, Lamelo brings it. When it was Houston, it looked like Lamelo took that game a little bit more. He got up for that game with KD on that other side. I think a team like Detroit, where you have a Cade Cunningham, you're gonna need Lamelo to cancel him out. You might need Lamelo to outplay him, put him in his place. So I really like what I'm seeing right now from Charlotte, man. I really do. I just think that this is the beginning, of something. But I just want them to sustain their victories, even despite running through any adversity. Let's say, God forbid, something go left. They should be able to bounce right back the next game. They shouldn't go on a 3-game losing streak, especially after such a season like this, and give up all of the ground that they, have made. They got off to a horrible start. They started the season like the same old Charlotte Hornets. That's why, despite a 9-game win streak, in any event, a team goes on a 9-game win streak, they should have got plunged up the standings, But Charlotte gave up so many games. It's like they went on some losing streaks, of their own. I forgot we should find out the longest losing streak they was on this season. Because they went through a series of games where they was losing every last one of them. They was somewhat close, and then they would fall apart and blow the game at the end. That hasn't been happening. So they got to be able to bounce back if they deal with adversity. That's what we're gonna really see. I want to go back to what I said. We really don't know what this team is truly made of until we see this version deal with adversity. What happens if they get knocked off their high horse? Are they gonna come back with that same level of intensity? Or are they gonna go back to the same old Charlotte Hornets that we know? That's what we're gonna need from Charles Lee too. He's got to bring it. That Indiana game was ridiculous. Um, it's crazy. It's crazy to say the least, man. Salute to the Charlotte Hornets. Let's see what they could do in this next game against the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. We definitely gonna get y'all geared up for that game. It's not too late to put the picks in. That would be for 10 straight. Now, if they get 10 straight wins, they beat Detroit. I still feel like Charlotte is not getting the recognition that they should get. But that's neither here nor there. But I still feel like they should be able to. I still feel like they should have got a little bit more love. But it is what it is. Salute to the Charlotte Hornets, our fans all around the world. Shout out to my man Big Al in the building, man. You already know he represents the Charlotte Hornets. We 9 straight, going for 10 against the Detroit Pistons. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. What's up, Flight? What's going on, Dex? Glad to see you up tonight. Got your live going. I think the Hornets, man. I'm loving the winning, man. I'm loving the defense. But I think we can win, but we need more, I guess, effectiveness from my boy Brandon Miller. He had a bad game tonight, and technically Lamelo wasn't as good as he could be either. So, and I think that's because of the physicality of the Hawks, and the Pistons are just as physical, if not more physical, than the Hawks. So LaMelo and Brandon got to get their sleep, get a couple meals in tomorrow, and just be ready for a physical game on Monday, and they can beat them, because Pistons aren't like a heavy scoring team, if I'm not mistaken. They just play a lot of aggressive defense, right? And then the main scorer for them is your boy, the point guard. What's the point guard's name?
Who?
For Pistons.
Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham. So if the Hornets can just come out and be ready for that physicality, because the Hornets can heat up. LaMelo, Brandon, Khan pretty consistent. I think that's why we won tonight, because of Khan's consistency and effectiveness tonight. Where when he had those open threes, or he just stopped the momentum of the Hawks. You know what I'm saying? And then Miles. So yeah, I'm not promising a win against the Pistons, but I think the franchise is on a big pace. This could be the 10th. This could be the 10th win, I believe. That hasn't happened since the 90s, when Grandmama was playing. I think when Glenn Rice was playing for the team. So this is a franchise record, and I know that's not as important as the playoff run, but it's a big deal for the franchise to get respect from the media, which they've been getting a lot right now anyway. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yes, Khan definitely has been a mainstay for the Charlotte Hornets, and tonight was just another prime example of how steady hand is Cool Hand Khan has been this season. It's such a surprise for the Charlotte Hornets drafting Khan where they drafted him at. Definitely wasn't still in the draft, because we already know what Cooper was going to be about. So it's no surprise what he's doing over there in Dallas. But Khan was more of a mystique, was more of a mystery, enigma. How Charlotte Hornets draft this guy over Ace Bailey? That was the question during the draft this season. And now we see this is being answered, and it's being answered in a very, very phenomenal way, because Khan Knippel has risen as a Rookie of the Year candidate, not just part of the chase. No, he is basically neck and neck with Cooper Flagg. But Cooper Flagg might have edged him out with that 60-point game. But if Khan can stay uh, consistent and the Charlotte Hornets continue to win, he could get Rookie of the Year over Cooper Flag, even though Cooper Flag came in as the overwhelming favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Miles Bridges. We have seen this from Miles Bridges before, uh, entering the second leg of the season, going down the stretch, even during LaMelo's ball rookie season. Miles Bridges was playing very well down the stretch, and also during LaMelo's sophomore season, when LaMelo was the All Star. Miles Bridges took the Hornets on his back down the stretch and got into a playing game. So Miles Bridges do have what it takes, but we just have to see this from Miles more often and frequently because Miles Bridges has to become the lion of the Charlotte Hornets. He has to be that lion. And he has to have the mental fortitude to bring this kind of energy night in and night out and not depend on no LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and Con Nipple to bring the horse across the finish line. Miles Bridges sometimes have to be that horse to lead the cart.
Yeah, Dex. Yeah, good point. But to add on to what you're saying, with Miles though, I don't think Coach Lee runs a set for him like that, unless it's like a lob. I mean, they run the offense through LaMelo and Brandon, and then Khan. You're right. So Miles is important, but at the end of the day, if we can get Brandon and LaMelo on the same page when it comes to physicality, which I mean they're growing, they're young. But if we get to the point where they real more physical and they can handle the physicality, really, yeah, man, this team is really going to be good. I mean, they are really, really good, and they can get hot and be effective. But if we get to the point where physicality is something that Brandon and Melo can handle, man, at any time, that's a big deal. And one of the chatters said, Khan and Miles can handle the physicality. Yes, they have the beef for that, and I'm glad they do. But I want Brandon and LaMelo to be that guy because we know how good they can be. Dex. We know how effective they can be when they get hot. They can take it downhill anytime they want. They can take the ball up the court anytime they want. They can make the right pass. I mean, so physicality for them and being able to take that is a big deal. So, yeah, I just want them to get to that point because all the good teams are physical, right? So yeah, they got to get ready for that.
Yeah, the top four teams definitely OKC, San Antonio, Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks. Yeah, all those teams are definitely bringing the physicality night in and night out. But I don't see Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball ever being physical, especially with LaMelo Ball. You recall LaMelo Ball coming up through his growth and development. He always has been that finesse player because he has always been one of the smaller players out of the brothers, right? And then he got the growth spurt, and then was out of control. But he still kept the finesse with his game. And I don't see anything changing in that because that's what makes LaMelo by him being 6'7", 6'8", and having the type of finesse and skill and agility and wiggle that he has, and he packaged it up very well. I just don't see it. They just have to get physical players around themselves, Brandon and LaMelo. I don't see them being a player you can say, wow, they're physical.
Okay, yeah. Keep in mind what I said. I didn't say. Well, I said they need to get to the point where they can handle it. I'm not saying they have to be. Well, I mean, I would like them to be more physical, because that's it'll help in their play. But to your point, they really aren't the physical type. They're more finesse. Brandon can be physical a little bit, but the point is, I was trying to make is I need them guys to be able to take it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Because Paul's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I said,
that was wild. That was wild. That was
but
crazy.
they got to be able to take the physicality, though. You know what I'm saying? Because the other, the top teams
Good
are
catch there,
physical, fellas.
Dex. Pause.
Yeah, we got Big
Pause.
Island in the building, so you got to be up on your P's and Q's.
Uh, but no, they just got to be able to, how do I say this? Handle the physicality. Is that better for you Negroes? Come on now. So yeah, we
No,
got
you
to,
make it a good point.
we got
But the
to,
thing,
yeah.
yeah, but Big Al, the thing
I
about
don't
that,
want to cut you off, Dex. I want to say one thing. One thing I want to say is this: we brought this pause culture to sports media. I just want to point that out right now. I know that bigger platforms, bigger celebrities, they're going to take credit for it. But the pause culture in sports media started here at Flight Sports TV. We was doing pause before it went mainstream, and homage truly needs to be paid. Point blank. Period. Do your homework.
Oh wow, that's a big statement, flight. I hear you. Okay,
yeah, but
but
like you said, Big Al, to couple off your observation is that I don't think they cave into physicality. What I think they, to some degree, surrender, but not cave into it, but surrender based on the fact that the referees don't give them the call. And Brandon and Lamelo are not the type of guys that's going to force physicality. Make the referee make the call. So they're shy away from it because if you're not calling it, then I'm not going to be out here getting hurt because both of those two gentlemen are very wiry, very spindly, and somewhat prone to injury. So they have to make a business decision every time they dribble that basketball, thinking about entering that restricted area.
okay, Dex. Okay, all right. I got a question for you then, because look at the game tonight. You're right. They were getting the refs will hold that whistle quite a bit because Brandon was obviously getting held. Kyle was getting held, but it wasn't as effective on him, right? Effective on him, and then Lamelo was getting held. So, but wouldn't you say going forward through this year and other years when the playoff is in the balance and the opportunity for the playoffs is there? Don't you think the physicality will probably actually amp up? What do you
No
think they need
doubt.
to do about that?
No doubt. It's just that's just the nature of the beast. You have to take the good as well with the bad, and hopefully the good outweighs the bad. And right now, I'm looking at the Melo and Brandon Miller. The good definitely outweigh the bad, especially during the streak. Brandon Miller was just the player of the month, and nobody of the Eastern Conference, and nobody was talking about he lacked physicality. You follow what I'm saying? So, and he acquired that recognition and award during the win streak. So you got to take the good with the bad. There's no such thing as a complete player unless you talk about Michael Jordan. You follow what I'm saying? Or maybe to some degree, Wilt Chamberlain. Outside of that, I don't know if you can have a complete player with all the intangibles intact and win at the same time. So you got to take the bitter with the sweet with these NBA players in this era because most of them didn't come up under the banner of physicality. Most of them came up under the banner of skill and finesse.
So does Lamelo need to add strength, Dex, in your opinion?
I think Lamelo has added strength. Lamelo has gained some poundage on his body. So there is a slight beefing up with Lamelo, but Brandon Miller is still spindly. He's tall, but he is thin as a pin. Now, maybe he needs to go to the weight room because, like you say, he has shoulder injuries, and those ligaments in that shoulder might be a little weak. But Lamelo only has lower extremity problems, but of lately that seems to be rectified because we haven't heard or seen anything directly affecting Lamelo in those lower extremities. So I just think that it's their mind. You know what I'm saying? Lamelo just a finesse player, and that's how he looks at it. He looks to finesse his opponent more so than outman his opponent because he has the skill set to do it. And most players with skill set play with finesse.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think somebody in the chat said Atlanta was treating Brandon like primetime Steph tonight because they just were holding on to him. Extra. So to your point, I guess they just got to get to the point where they can handle that physicality, pause, and get to the point where they can get shots off. And whenever they get the ball, just be focused, even though they get fouled constantly. So I guess that's the only way they can do it then, right? Because physicality is not a thing that they are able to really, dish out. So, okay.
Yeah, they're accustomed to because that's their approach. You know what I mean? And like I said, the breadth of organization that runs Charlotte Hornets, they understand because the play call.
You're breaking up, man.
Excuse me?
You're breaking up.
You sound great. Go ahead.
I said the play calling from the coaching staff subjects that the Charlotte Hornets understand that these two players is not going to give you that physicality, and if the referee is blowing the whistle, they would definitely shy away to physicality. And this is plays into the hand of the opponent, and we know this, and we like this. But that's the nature of the beast because these two players, Brandon and Lamelo, have had significant injuries in season. And so they have to make that executive business decision. Do I want to allow them to play physical and play physical through it, or do I move around and be a little more shifty and make them exert more energy than they want to because the referee is not favoring Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball to the point where they get to the free throw line frequently. And you've seen that Brandon Miller continue on his free throw make streak tonight. And if they allow him to get to the line 10, 11 times a game, Brandon Miller will average 30 points. If they allow LaMelo Ball to get to the line 10, 11 times, like they do other notable players, LaMelo Ball will average 30 points. And like I said, that's what he should be averaging anyway. I know some people detest me saying that LaMelo Ball should be averaging 30 points and LaMelo Ball should be more of a distributor than a scorer. I disagree because his game is so he's going to get the players involved regardless of what he averages because they play at a fast pace. The faster you play, the more possessions you get, and the more opportunities other players have to shoot the ball or play with the ball, and do the things they need to do to execute up under the capriciousness of Charles Lee.
All right, but yeah. Okay, go ahead.
What's up with Detroit, Big Al? What you see with that game? We got another Thompson twin to go up against. The Pistons is red hot, number one in the East. This looks like the biggest test yet.
Well, it's going to be about physicality because that's what the Pistons focus on. So we know tonight is just a sign of things to come because the Hawks were hell physical tonight, and like Nate was saying, they got all kinds of home cooking. I like to point out the little flail that Jalen Johnson did close to the end of the game, where they call a foul on Brandon. Brandon touched the guy and he fell to the ground like he got pushed. And then the refs called the whistle real quick on that. So hopefully hopefully the Pistons don't get that kind of I guess roughing because aren't they going? Aren't they at the Pistons? Right? They're in Detroit. I don't even know. Are they in Detroit?
You say that again out? Are they what?
Are they in Detroit? Are they at home or in Detroit? I don't know.
I think they're at home.
Okay. All right. So if they're home, chances are they could take that momentum, from the fans because we're getting hyped about the fact that we actually are winning, and we're not even just finished product because we got young guys that's stepping up and becoming stars as we speak, and then that finished growing. So the Hornets fans are notorious for being on cold and being and winning attendance records and whatnot. So if they bring it, we'll come. You know what I'm saying? But pause again because so when Pistons get there, they might have a hard time with us, or they will have a hard time with us. The key is physicality, being able to take that physicality and fight through it. To fight despite the refs that causing fouls and whatnot in favor of the Hornets.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. Sorry, Mike. That's a tough call right there because I'm quite sure. I think you told me before, Big Al, you play basketball. I know Flight played basketball. I definitely played basketball. I wasn't spectacular at it, but I put on the uniform. And sometimes when you don't get those calls from the referee that are so blatantly obvious, it deters you. It becomes a deterrent.
Yeah, it's deflating. Yeah, I agree.
But they have to fight through it, but it's tough to fight through it. It's not easy.
Hey, Dax.
Yeah.
Dax, I got a question. When you played basketball, what was you known for? Like, what was your signature? What you did?
My speed and my jumping ability. Yeah, I was a little guy. You know what I mean? But I could outrun once I got that ball, dribble with that right hand. I dribble with that right hand. And outrun everybody. No, I wasn't like that. No, I definitely wasn't like that. But later on, I'm talking about high school. Later on, after I graduated high school, it somehow, I don't know what happened to me playing basketball in the park, but I developed a jump shot that was a killer. I don't know how I developed it. I don't know where it came from, but I was able to shoot that ball with purity. You know what I'm saying? And it was a thing to wonder at.
Was it unorthodox? You sound like a nigga that's got orthodox jump shot.
It was a legitimate jump shot. It wasn't orthodox. It was a legitimate jump shot. But I don't know where it came from. Out of nowhere, I was able to shoot jumpers.
You ain't have no MKG jump shot, did you?
I don't know what that is.
Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
I was asking him if he had a Michael Kidd Gilchrist jump shot flight.
No. Listen, he said he was known for his speed. See me. I was known for it all. I played defense. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't have the hops. I wasn't jumping out the roof. I wasn't dunking on people like that. But my defense was impeccable. Going to the paint, driving. This era of shooting was crazy back then. Everybody wanted to be LeBron going to the cup. I was going to the cup like relentless, and niggas, they couldn't stop me. Shit, and I was like a backboard abuser. When people say you a backboard abuser, I'm taking you to the paint. In the post.
Okay.
When I turn around, I'm going off the glass. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing you could do. They were sending 2, 3, everything. I was beating people older than me and everything. It was nothing.
You sound like y'all both sound like regional.
They don't play like that no more. That's how I grew up. I played center. I had to learn all my guard skills myself. So my basket game was always impeccable.
How tall are you, Flight?
6'4".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you sound like a regional player because they say that the New York Cats, they handle the rock mostly. They don't really shoot like that.
You learned that on your own. Yeah, you learned that on your own. But coach always made me play center, but I always had the handles and all that good shit. So
Yeah.
Back to business. After they beat the Detroit Pistons, what's going on with Houston and Atlanta? I believe they got Atlanta first. Then now they got Atlanta coming to town and Houston, two teams they just beat. Big Al. What do you think about that? Because I still want the Hornets to be sustainable. Let's say something go wrong. Let's give homage to Detroit a little bit. That's going to be a tough test. Let's say something don't go right. You got to bounce back at home against Atlanta as well, and then you got to bounce back against Houston. What do you think about those next two games after Detroit?
Well, I'm focused on these last two games because after the Atlanta game, that's when the All-Star break happens. And so
yeah, good call.
Yeah, so after the All-Star break, on the 19th, that's when they get back to business. But at the end of the day, though, these last two games are crucial because we can pass Detroit in the standings. Not Detroit. We can pass the Hawks in the standings, and then do our thing. But at the end of the day, though, they got to deal with the physicality. Both teams are physical, so Brandon and Lamelo have got to just focus and forget about the whistle, whether the ref called the whistle or not. I don't know if that's going to be possible because they usually get distracted by the whistle, distracted by the fact they're not getting foul calls. But if we can get them to focus and fight through the physicality and make the open shots, get the shots to the rack, whatever they need to do. We'll win those games, or we can win those games, because the Hornets play defense too. So finally, they play defense too.
What is Kobe White? How's he gonna take this shit to the next level? Something telling me Kobe about to take this shit to the 10th power. What do you think about his emergence? And we're gonna get into Dex bringing a report that the trade was amended. We're about to break this down. What does Kobe bring when he get there?
See, that's what I'm saying. See, after the All-Star break, it's on because Kobe is good. Kobe, when he was, with Chicago, he was a fringe All-Star.
Right.
I don't think
that was the number one option.
Yeah, he was. He was up there. It's not like he was a slouch. No, dude was balling.
He was one of the faces of the franchise after everybody left.
Right. But and Colin was just existing in Utah.
I don't mean to cut you off. I remember when Lonzo was having his gravy train with Chicago that first year before the injuries came up. Kobe White was injured the beginning of that year. And I remember when Kobe White came back, everybody was like, yeah, when Kobe White get there, when Kobe White get back, Lonzo, we going to the, that's the haters who saying that, but Kobe White was looked at as, another bright sign, even when they had the veterans. And when the veterans left, he was looked at, okay, now it's your shine. Now it's your time now, so that's what's coming to Charlotte. And I'm looking at Kobe White. He looked like he looking at what's happening here and looking like where he could fit in, but there's weapons everywhere. So Kobe White gotta make his bones here in Charlotte. He gonna have to because you got offensive talent everywhere. We got shooters, Khan out here. We got Miller. He gonna have to come in here and do something. Point blank. Period.
Yeah, and Kobe, he's legit 6 man off the bench. Yeah, he's down there. He should be starting over Khan if you think about it. But, he's legit 6 man. And so, if he come in and do what he was doing in Chicago, the bench should be an issue. I mean, the only thing I can see is let's get him a young big man that's Caleb Wilson, perhaps. I would love to have him. But Kobe is a beast. So, and he can pass, and he's under control, which that was the issue with Colin. I didn't feel like he was under control. He was always, just going 100 miles an hour, making mistakes. And Kobe he can change his pace. He can handle that. So I think he's gonna make a big deal, man. and if Hornets are going to get even better or better, I ain't gonna say even better because they're pretty good now. But the bench is going to be a big deal. We can stop running Zion James at the damn point finally, and let this man play two guard and guard the best player on the court, and that's it.
I agree. I like what I'm seeing from Sion James. What do you think about Charles Lee rotations? He's staying consistent. I see Lamelo. He's bringing Lamelo out. I think, and I don't want to say good moments, but spot moments. Then he's
Yeah,
making sure
yeah,
that he's spotting these minutes. I'm trying
yeah.
to
That's a
find the
good
right
question.
word to say. Yeah.
I'm glad you
So,
asked me about that.
yeah, what do you think about his rotations? Because I mean, it's getting Melo sustainable. I noticed at the end of the game, even when they got the shit wrapped up, he pulled Melo out. It's
Right,
like Melo was out,
right,
but he wasn't even in the game in the final stretch.
right.
Because I guess they did it defensive purposes and things of that nature. But go ahead, let me hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people don't aren't too crazy about that because they not thinking the strategy that Charles Lee is thinking, of course, because we just watch him, right?
That's right.
I mean, so I'm so, but I'm starting to buy it though, Flight, because at the end of the day, Zion James is a great defender. He's a good defender, man. And with Lamelo's injury protocol, making sure he stays on the court and he can play. I mean, what can you say? I'm not crazy about all the substitutions because I want Brandon and Lamelo and Miles to get more minutes and all those guys get more minutes. But at the end of the day, also Charles Lee has them run. They are a running team, so they do need time on the bench, right, to rest. And I think that becomes an advantage for the Hornets because we got guys coming in with this substitution pattern. It's almost getting to the point where we run the starters, the opposing starters in the ground, and when we put our guys on a bench, we can still be effective because he's sort of rotating a lot of guys in and out. Like for instance, tonight he took Khan out early. I think he even took him, and then he took Lamelo out, and then he let Brandon and Miles stay out there a little long. But then at the end of the games, that tiredness of the opposing team is the element because Jalen Johnson was on the court for a long time, mind you. He had to be. He might not, I think that might have been a thing. I know that was a thing with the Pelicans. So, his substitution patterns, I'm trying to be positive about it because at one point I didn't understand. I didn't see the dream, I hate it. But, he might have a point. It might actually help the Hornets be better because I don't think Melo like it because I think during but what player would? They want him on the court, right? But
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, Sion is a good defender, and then you rotating all these guys out, and we can still keep up the score, right, and still be effective. I think that was part of his plan all along, like so. And I think Kobe White being a part of the team now.
I want y'all to listen in right quick. Let's hear a little bit what Charles Lee had to say of his post game press conference. Y'all listen in. It's Flight Sports TV. Wins for you guys now, and hasn't happened obviously in a while. What goes through your mind? Yeah, what goes through my mind is just consistency of habits, consistency of defensive and offensive competitiveness and togetherness. It's really just like the Hornets DNA. I think through and through, we found a lot of different ways to have to win games. But I think that the group continues to just grow in a lot of ways. And, you're seeing the defensive effort consistently be there. Not always perfect, but it's definitely there. And offensively, the same type of thing.
when you mentioned finding ways to win games, when you guys are able to do that, what does it say about the team and just how they're going against the way you want them to?
Yeah, it just shows a level of, I think, trust, a level of confidence that they have in each other, but also the ability to know that we have enough in our tool bag from a talent standpoint, from a X's and O's schematic standpoint, and that's kind of, I think, the mental freedom that they can play with. And so I've been proud of them. We've been learning a ton on this journey. You know, how you start the season and having to go through some adversity and, you know, being down some players, being down during a quarter, whatever it is, our guys find a way to kind of punch back. And that's what tonight was. It was like it was just a battle. And I was glad to see our guys come out on top.
To start the year 4-14, and then since Christmas have the number one net rating in the league, to like flip that extremely, I guess. What happened there for those who haven't been around your team every day? Like what flipped?
Yeah, I would say, you know, getting some guys back healthy definitely helped during that stretch. But even the guys that were playing when we weren't healthy, we're building the right habits. And then when the guys come back, our daily process is pretty elite. And it's a testament to our players, a testament to everyone in the organization, all the hard work that they put in. And everyone just continue to trust in that and get better. The mindset hasn't changed, and it doesn't change after a win or after a loss. And our guys just continue to kind of build that resilient mindset, that consistent competitor mindset.
Have you felt the chemistry with that 5-man starting group kind of shift and, I guess, click and get more comfort as this has gone on?
Oh, definitely. And I think that group kind of starts it with their communication, their ability to hold each other accountable to our standards, to talk through what they need from each other on defense, what they need from each other offensively. And I feel like I've seen that grow from, hey, let's just play harder, to now it's like, hey, let's be better in transition fighting the shooters. Like, there's just more depth to the conversations. Offensively, they're switching pick and rolls, so let's work on our red execution. This is a good set for us to go to. And so the communication level of that starting five and the cohesion is growing, I think, just from their day-to-day conversations and their relationship building, but also from these game reps.
I want to ask you one other thing, because your oldest player now is Miles, who is 27. So, like, with no, like, OG around or anything, how has that communication gotten, I guess, so advanced?
Yeah, I'm the OG. So it comes a lot from me. But also, Miles is, you know, he's one of our most vocal guys. He's been through a lot of experiences. I look at a guy like Grant Williams, who's also been on playoff caliber teams, now getting Kobe, who's been in playoffs and high-stakes games. And having Mason here previously, having Pat here previously, I think really helps these guys. And then they've been able to kind of add some jewels. And then on top of it, I think we have a pretty a young staff, but a well-seasoned staff that's been through a lot of experiences.
That was Charles Lee at his press conference breaking down the game. I want to get some of y'all thoughts on some of the things that y'all heard if he was listening. Big Al, was you listening to Charles Lee?
Yeah, of course. I was listening.
Any key pointers? What I like what he said was when he said that, you know, they're going to stay solid whether they win or they lose. They not. That was one key point. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about adversity. You know, how they're going to respond. But that what do you think? What Charles Lee was saying? Anything stick out, Paul?
Yeah. So yeah, the adversity talk. Yeah, they've gotten better at that fight. That's for sure, man. They have gotten to the point where they can win close games. Obviously tonight, the game before that, and the game before that, and the game before that. So they've got to the point where they can keep their composure in these close games and take and win them. And that's becoming a big thing for them. And that was an issue during the James Borrego years. If they weren't winning by 20 or 30, they weren't going to win because they just had issues really being composed. And I think Charles Lee preaching accountability, preaching doing the right things in the right moments in the games. Because I think he talked about situational basketball at one point when he started, coaching the team. And I think he's been preaching that ever since. And the players are listening, and I think it's working because they're making good decisions. Melo made one mistake in this Hawks game. I wish he wouldn't have made.
What's that?
But that was it. It was the moment where we were up 5, and it was 20 or some seconds to go, and we could have ran the clock down for a long time and really made it difficult for the Hawks to even challenge us for the game.
Yeah.
But he tried at 15 seconds on the clock and on the game, the shot clock, he decides to drive the lane and he turns the ball over. So, and shit like that shouldn't be happening in fights. Sorry for the cussing. Because, I mean, when there's crucial games, Melo can't make these dumbass mistakes. He's got to be, because he's the point guard, right? That's what Miles called him. Right. And I kind of agree, because he can't be really stopped if he really focuses like he needs to. But yeah, so it was So when this game's really close, we got my dude at Melo. He got to focus and make the right decisions because he could have ran that clock down. Because it was only 20 seconds. They would have had to foul him. He would have went to the line and got a 7-point lead, which is difficult to overcome with 10.
Mm-hmm. One thing I heard Charles Lee say was they added depth to their conversations, with the X's and O's. He said it's not all about playing hard. It's also they getting in detail. They talking about getting back on transition defense and getting to the shooters. It's just more depth in that conversation. It seems like this conversation was a little shallow before, but a couple of wins here, they ready to lay it all out there. So give them props. Dex, did you hear anything from Charles? That any key takeaways? I don't know if Dex, if you're there still.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I heard that bullshit.
You still seem like you ain't too amused with Charles.
Oh,
when you win it, you can say anything, and it all sounds good. So, but I give him credit for that the Charlotte Hornets is winning, and he is named as the head coach during this win streak. But a bunch of that was a lot of fluff. And
but Dex, how the fuck do you think they're winning? Dex, how the fuck do you think they're winning if that Charles didn't bring instruction, my Negro? Come on, dog. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, they basketball players. Anytime you put 5 guys on the court, there's going to be some structure. They're not going to just be out there just totally reckless. But the thing of it is this. He got out the way. Why he just won't tell the truth? Listen, I got out the way.
Get out the way? It's like, I gotta say this. Hold on. You've been saying that bullshit last time you said it. He got out the way. What does that mean? Before he got out the way, as you say, Lamelo was fouling out of fucking games left and right for no fucking reason.
That has nothing to do with Charles Lee. Just
what
like
you mean?
Hold on. You said
he was preaching to Melo and Melo fucking get it.
Do you want me to explain, or do you want to berate? I mean, you can't do both. Right?
Explain. You talking bullshit.
Explain, or are you going to be a prosecutor and just berate me on the witness stand? Which one do you want? Yeah, you feel me? So the thing of it is this is what I call bullshit on Charles Lee. All what we have seen is that the rotation has improved because that means he got out the way. Charles Lee was so hell-bent being driven by his ego that he wanted to put his fingerprint on the team. And I don't think his intellectual ability will allow him to put a fingerprint on this team with a Miles Bridges and the Lamelo Ball, Brandon Miller, right? Nipple, okay, cool. But Miles Bridges, Lamelo Ball, and Brandon Miller, no, you're not putting your fingerprints on those guys. And they're not allowing you to. And it's obvious they're not allowing you to. But you want to. And because you want to feel competent, and you want to feel confident, and you want to feel assured that you belong. Most coaches that are of the elite status do not get in the way of the talent. They recognize the talent, they showcase the talent, they promote the talent, and they validate the talent. They don't get in the way. All this bringing the medal in and out the game, come on, man. That's ridiculous. Yes, Lamelo might not be the best on-ball defender. Hold on, let me finish, please. Lamelo might not be the best on-ball defender. Okay, cool. There's a whole lot of people in the NBA that's all-stars are not the best on-ball defenders. But with LaMelo height and LaMelo wherewithal on the court, especially in passing lanes, he presents a dominant threat because of his length, Paul. And when you have height like Brandon Miller and Conker Nipple and LaMelo Ball at your perimeter, you could be devastating. But if you try to put your fingerprint on the game constantly, show everybody, hey, I'm Charles Lee, I'm the coach, I did that, I made that move, that's where you become despised by purists and real basketball pundits because we know coaches don't dribble the ball, coaches don't shoot the ball. All coaches do is advise, and hopefully they can execute. Clapping all the goddamn time, happy clapper on the sideline, constantly in LaMelo's ear as a micromanager. That don't make you no hell of a basketball coach. All you gotta do is look at the Red Auerbachs of the world. Look at the Phil Jacksons, the Pat Rileys of the world. Those guys will stand back offish and did all of their work in practice, not in the game. Because if you can't translate from practice into the game, that's not on the coach. That's on the player.
Wow. Flight, do you agree with this bullshit?
I mean,
Flight,
like
are
I said,
you-
I'm here. It's tough, man. Like I said, I like Charles Lee and what he's doing right now. The jury was out for me. Everybody's got their own opinion, With Dex feel that, like I said, that's it. That's how he feels, and he has valid points. He's giving you the points. He ain't just running his mouth here. But what I will say about Charles Lee is I agreed up until the win streak. I got to give homage where homage is due. They winning. I can't say nothing. I can't. He got me. He got everybody quiet. I want to see this thing through. I'm already on record as saying this. How did Charles Lee go from being looked at as he should be fired, because I'm be honest with you, I wanted Charles Lee fired at some point through this season. I was calling for Charles Lee to be fired. And the reason why is because how horrendous they was looking. I know that we caught up in this 9-game win streak, but we forgot about how they looked before that. It was hard to watch. It's hard to watch a team quit in the first quarter. It's hard to watch a team quit at halftime. This is what was going on with Charlotte. So I know that we forgot about all of this, but this is what was going on. I can't watch a team and I know they done gave up in the first quarter. What the fuck am I watching for? For what? That's one of my pet peeves. I quit when they quit. When you quit, I'm changing the channel now. It just is how it is. And I found myself doing that oftentimes with Charlotte, just watching the team quit. It just was ridiculous. But I don't know what sparked in them. I know that they attributed everything to health, but something clicked, and they've been winning. And as of right now, Charles Lee is getting the benefit of the doubt for me until proven otherwise. Winning fixes everything. I'm still, like I repeat, how did he go from looking like he should be fired to arguably, if this continues, he should win Coach of the Year? That's just how I feel. I know that Dex may not agree with that, but I just feel if they get to the playoffs, he's the Coach of the Year.
I agree with portions of it. I agree that how you looked at it, because I looked at it out of the same prism, is that he deserved to be an assistant coach, but not a head coach, and definitely not the head coach of Charlotte, and definitely not having a future face of the franchise in LaMelo Ball at his helm. So the thing of it is this right here. We know there was a tug of war between LaMelo Ball and Charles Lee. See, we always want to be historical revisionists, right? We want to forget that. We want to write that out of history where there was a tug of war between the two. And it wasn't so much LaMelo Ball because LaMelo Ball is a jolly type player. All he wants to do is dribble the ball, have fun, make plays, do some spectacular, what's you call that, ESPN highlights, and win games. That's basically all that he wants to do. Chumley, I'll put it in that. Chumley basketball player, right? Very affectionate. Players love to be around him, whether they are part of the team or the opponents of the team. After the game, they want to, carouse LaMelo Ball, exchange jerseys and things of that nature. If LaMelo Ball was an asshole, if LaMelo Ball was an asshat, if LaMelo Ball was a fuckboy, these other players of his peers would not want to associate with him as such, or they would have things to say on podcasts about him as such. But it's the polar opposite. He's one of the beloveds of the NBA, even though Adam Silver feels that LaMelo Ball needs to pay more dues based on the fact that LaMelo Ball is a reckless mouthpiece. LaMelo Ball is a reckless mouthpiece. LaMelo Ball is a reckless mouthpiece on the hardwood. He gets out there and to say anything, camera moving, all kind of stuff live. You can hear him in the background being foul, being disrespectful, and just like he's playing on the asphalt at some park. And this is not what Adam Silver is trying to sell to the consumers of the NBA, right? But this is what makes LaMelo Ball. So the referees are told, hey, man, swallow the whistle. Give him a tough time. Let's see if we can get this guy to act right. You follow what I'm saying? Make him change his cover his tattoo. Do this, do that, because he's a commodity outside of the game anyway. So here's Charles Lee trying to reel in this wild stallion, right? And that's where some of the players didn't like, because now you're taking the fun away because he's a fun player to be around. You're taking that away, trying to give him too much structure. When we already heard Lonzo Ball say the way LaMelo grew up is basically without structure, right? It's same that Lonzo had and Leangelo had, right? LeVar gave him a lot of leeway into becoming who he is right now. So when Charles Lee came in to combat that, that caused it friction. And it caused it friction enough that Charles Lee felt that he had the power to bench LaMelo during a winnable game. Not a game that's blown out, whether Charlotte's winning or losing, so it wouldn't matter. No, this was a winnable game, and his presence needs to be on court. So there's a lot of history between the two, and I'm not one of the ones who's going to be a revisionist of history and try to sugarcoat it and make it like this was a kumbaya from beginning to what we have right now. So this is why I said the spark of Charles Lee helping turn into town is that he swallowed his ego. Somebody got to him and told him, this dude, this is not what we want. We don't need that here. We don't need a disciplinarian. If we want a disciplinarian, we would have got a disciplinarian type coach that is seasoned in disciplining NBA players or up and coming players. That ain't what we need. What we need is to have the expression of freedom and to let these young players be the best that they can be. And right now, he has got out of his way, like I keep trying to reiterate, and he's swallowing his pride. Maybe it might be a bit lump in his throat, but at the same time, it's shown that it's working. And I believe that Jeff Peterson has a lot to do with it. Whether we want to admit it or not, or include Jeff Peterson or not, I think he has a lot to do with it. He probably talked to both parties and say, listen, man, either we're going to get it together or we're going to do it separately. And I'm going to be the one going to do the separation.
He says, pardon me. So you saying Charles Lee was about to get fired? Peterson basically told him, "Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna do it away with you." That shit was funny what you said.
Yeah,
I can see something like that coming down.
Yeah, because you got to look at Jeff, man. I believe he's a young genius. I don't think Charles Lee is a genius, but I think Jeff is a real genius, for real. And the way that he got into the position of becoming the general manager and being structured amongst the financial executives of the Charlotte Hornets is because this guy's brilliant. He's just a young guru. And we don't really see it because Charlotte Hornets was such a discombobulated team. But now we're starting to get it, right? Because we saw hints of Jeff Peterson geniusness when they made the overhaul the first time a couple of years ago with the Terry Rozier, the PJ Washington, and the Gordon Hayward. And he brought in a crop of guys that most people looked at misfits and outcasts. And they started winning. It won like 4 games in a row. And it wasn't on purpose because Jeff was trying to be bad, but he ended up being good, right? But he cannot be bad intentionally. That's just not what geniuses does. Even though he probably was instructed to get a bunch of players and just let them go out there and lose, his intuition got players that fitted, and some of the players are still there, and Trey Mann is one of them.
So Dex, you would have preferred Steve Clifford still coach and Jeff Peterson be the GM. Why no? I mean, Charles Lee trash. He's not a coach, according to you.
No. I didn't say he was trash. See, now you're being hyperbolic. I never called Charles Lee trash.
You said he wasn't a coach, man. You said he was an assistant coach. He should be the third assistant coach off the bench.
Hold on. Listen to what you're saying. I never said he wasn't a coach. I said he wasn't a head coach, and he shouldn't be a head coach of Charlotte. Not at this stage, right? Because Charlotte is trying to do something. The fans are itching and anticipating.
Okay, time out. Break that down. He shouldn't be the head coach at this stage. What do you mean by that? What stage should he be a head coach at for the Hornets?
For a team that's not doing anything, just don't have no aspiration. Just trying to pile up first round picks and things of that nature, save money, and the fan base understands it, et cetera, et cetera.
But time out. It seems like hold on, my fault, Dex. I'm just trying to interject a little bit. So I mean, but they sort of passed that point the way they playing right now as far as the gathering picks and shit. I mean, so can we? What do you say about that? They kind of passed that point. Aren't they? They've been winning. They won the 9th consecutive game tonight. They might win the 10th and the 11th. So, I mean, what do you say about that?
Well, apparently you're not hearing me correctly. I guess you got too much wax in your ears right now. I said that he's to be the Charlotte Hornets coach at this stage. I never said he wasn't a coach, first of all. I said he should be an assistant, not the head coach. But he's learning, and he's learning on the fly, and Jeff Peterson is being patient with him. But how much patient can Jeff Peterson be if this guy continues to get in the way of the better players of the team? Brandon Miller way. And Miles trying to get in Miles Bridges' way. Miles Bridges told me a body slammer. Get in the Melo Ball's way. You know what I'm saying? So how often are you going to get into your top team, your top player's way? He's never been in Con Knipple way because Con Knipple is not the type of player that you have to get in his way. Con Knipple is going to play within the stratagem and scheme of the system. He has no problem with that. That's how good he is. He has no problem with that. But other players sometimes might have their own agenda going, especially if they have some veteranship with them based on the fact that they have contracts to try to secure. And they're not going to let no lame duck coach get in their way. It has to be a coach that's somewhat prominent. And hell no, I don't want Clifford to be the coach, even though Clifford took them to a playoff. Now, don't forget that. Clifford have touched two
blew out.
Playoffs.
They were never ready.
What did that matter? They haven't even been to the playoff yet since Steve Clifford. So stop that. Stop trying to be a contrarian and just settle with the facts. And what I'm saying is,
You ain't making no facts.
I'm making a whole lot of facts. You're just not listening, bro. Charles Lee, at this stage of the Charlotte Hornets movement, I don't believe is qualified. That's all I'm saying. I don't think he's qualified right now.
Hey, Jay Jonah in the chat.
He can go coach.
You've been talking. Can I interject a little bit of statements right now? You've been talking for a minute. Can I say something?
You've been injecting because that's how you are. You don't interrupt. Go ahead. Continue being yourself.
Jay Jones in the chat. I strongly agree with what you're saying, my man. I mean, my man is Charles Lee is on a 9-game winning streak, and he should be fired according to Dex. He should have been fired.
Stop that.
He should have been fired. What the hell is that? What the hell is that,
because you don't understand. I never said Charles Lee should be fired.
That's what you freaking mean?
No, listen. I never said Charles Lee should be fired right now. When I wanted Charles Lee out is last season and earlier this season. I didn't feel he deserved the job. I feel that should have been Sam Cassell's job. You follow what I'm saying? But nevertheless, Jeff Peterson chose who they chose, and I like Jeff Peterson, so I rolled with Charles Lee. I give him the benefit of the doubt. Then I started seeing Charles Lee doing a lot of fuckboy shit. Then I said, you know what? That's why I knew I didn't like this guy. You know, he's one of them type of brothers. But nevertheless, they have a 9-game win streak, but it's not solely because of Charles Lee. Only thing Charles Lee has done is pivoted from being a micromanager to allowing the game to flow and the players to express their talent. Why you can't understand me saying this?
Bro, oh my God.
And all that taking the Lamelo ball out, this is what I disagree. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, and I'm not saying Charles Lee is right or wrong. I'm just saying, from my basketball acumen, you do not take your star player out when the game is on the line. Only time you do that in basketball 101 or coaching 101, only time you do that is if it's a mayhem in the matchup. If the matchup is so awkward, then you can take the player out, or if he's in foul trouble, or is he injured. If he's healthy in the start of the game, and he's healthy towards the end of the game, he should not be removed, regardless of the situation, unless it's extreme, like I just said. It's utterly awkward, or the mismatch is a mayhem, and his replacement has to be somewhat an improvement from him being there. When they taking Lamelo out during the last part of the game, that's just Charles Lee and his ego trying to put his fingerprint on the game like he's doing something masterfully. That's the only thing I'm saying. All you gotta do is look at. All you gotta do is look at situations where this happens. Now we know Shaq used to get removed out of the game, regardless how dominant he was, because he was inadequate with free throws. And so when the game came down to free throws, and they did this hack of Shaq, Phil Jackson had to remove Shaq from the game in order for the game to flow and continue in the Lakers' favor. You follow what I'm saying? So that was something of mayhem. That was a mayhem matchup. But outside of that, Shaq would never be removed from a game, because when you look at Shaq when he played in the playoffs, they didn't really remove Shaq out the game that often. Only when they played like Utah or something like that, when they do, or San Antonio, when they start that hack of Shaq stuff. But if there wasn't no hack of Shaq, if they had to play all the way down to the wire, and you cannot afford to do the hack of Shaq, then Shaq will remain in the game regardless of his inadequate free throw shooting. And sometimes Shaq will hit a couple of free throws to ice games in those situations. That's the only thing I'm saying. Coaching 101. The guy sometimes tries to do a little too much because he wants to feel he belongs, and you got to do something to show that you belong. So by taking away out your star player from time to time for defensive purposes or quote unquote health wise, Lamelo has been healthy. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Dex, can I talk? All right, so Man, listen, I get you got knowledge. You the man. You know what you know. But bro, they are on a 9-game win streak. Charles Lee has been preaching a lot of different stuff that he said in the media, and it's come to fruition. I've noticed a lot of stuff that he's been saying is coming to pass, and that's why they're winning these close games. And like Nate, I think it was Nate in the chat said, the defense offense split is a part of NBA culture. Like you even said with the Shaq scenario. So I mean that's important because we know LaMelo ain't the best defender. So we need to have a guy.
Neither is his replacement.
Oh my
Neither is his
goodness.
replacement. There's not Alex Caruso coming off the
Zion
bench.
James. Okay, so Zion James is not a good
What are you
defender.
talking about? Zion
Zion
James
James
might
is
have.
not a good
Hold on.
defender.
I'm not. See, here you go. You always like to.
You
try
said
to-
neither is his replacement. Who's his
Let me
replacement?
explain who you is and what you do. You always try to put
Oh my
words in
God.
your mouth, and you like to jump to conclusions. I never said Zion James wasn't a good defender. Matter of fact, I never even mentioned Zion James. When have I mentioned Zion
You
James?
said his replacement. At the end of the game, he put Zion James in for LaMelo. What are you talking about?
His replacement is not head and shoulders above what he's able to do. Zion James has his advantage because he has the lowest center of gravity, right? So he can get down in that crouch, right? But LaMelo has length, Paul. LaMelo can stretch out and make it difficult for the passing lane, which he always do and gets his hands on balls. Pause again. So he has his advantage and he has his disadvantage. So taking him out is really, to me, is asinine. Because like I said, if it's a mayhem matchup, I understand. If somebody's just killing LaMelo and he just don't have an answer, of course you got to take him out the game when it gets down to that. But most guards that LaMelo is facing, it's not killing him. He's not losing that battle where it is so lopsided. You understand what I'm saying? But Charles Lee does that because he wants to put his fingerprint on the game. I'm telling you what I know. He wants to put his fingerprint on the game, and LaMelo's not going to buck. He's not going. Most superstars of LaMelo stature, they bucking that. Nigga, I'm not going to sit on the bench during this time. I only got 2 fouls, and it's only 31 seconds left to go. I'm not going to the bench. No, put somebody else on the bench. They buck that, and it won't come out. That happens. If you go to enough NBA games, you'll see that. They'll wave the coach off. You know how you wave somebody off, like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. They do stuff like that. If you go to enough NBA games, you see that.
Dex, Flight, you got a great chat, man, because they coming with it, man. They saying, I wish they would come up because they got a lot of good points they making. Because Jay and Nate are harping on the fact that LaMelo has been sitting in a lot of cases because of injury protocol. And the league didn't even make that call. That was Jeff Peterson.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I say. That's malarkey. Because LaMelo, you got to remember,
So
LaMelo
that's
is almost in limbo. You got to hold on. Listen. LaMelo was almost in limbo at one point during the season. They was contemplating: do they move him? Do they keep him? Are they willing to pay him? Is he worth it? Can we win with him? There was a lot of question marks surrounding LaMelo Ball in the Charlotte Hornets uniform early on in the season. So of course they was taking him out. Of course it was Jeff Peterson making that call, right? Because he's the one after structure the Charlotte Hornets roster. We understand that. And Jeff Peterson was getting called out on that on a lot of NBA purists and pundits and podcasters about taking LaMelo Ball out. Are they taking? Are they making it obvious? Why are you doing it in this type of situation? Normally that doesn't happen in that type of situation. What kind of coaching? Who's making these calls about removing LaMelo and even Miles too, and Brandon Miller? Remember, Brandon Miller was a part of that at one point, being removed in late parts of the games and things of that nature. But a lot of the highlights was on LaMelo, and maybe the chat is buying that. I'm not, because I've been around basketball too long. I'm not buying the split with defense and offense with LaMelo Ball. You follow what I'm saying? Because LaMelo Ball do bring advantages to the defensive situation or strategy. You just got to know how to place him and present it that way. because you can't be 6'7" and 6'8" and just a lame duck out there with LaMelo Ball being such a player who's springy, right? And who is very adept into reading the passing lanes. And that is a skill. That's the only thing I'm saying. Now, if LaMelo Ball was just trash on defense and things of that nature, and we've seen that he just trash, he just god awful, who would argue if he gets replaced in those type of basketball situations? But that's not the case with LaMelo. He's just not the best on-ball defender, and we understand that. And as far as taking him out to reserve his health, well, they claim they've taken LaMelo out. Remember this now. They claim they've taken LaMelo out so he can be restored for latter game presence. And so if they taking him out so he can be restored for latter game presence, then why are they taking him out in the latter portion of the game? It doesn't make sense. It's hypocritical in nature.
All right, Dex. We can be no further apart on this topic than we are right now. But I give it to you. You know, you have been a part of Flight's channel for a long time, and I got to defer to you, right? But fuck that, I'm not. At the end of the day, Charles Lee.
You got to agree with me. You got to defer to me. You good? I don't have an ego.
In my opinion, Charles Lee has built a structure and a identity for this team. Now, I don't buy everything the national media says either, but LaMelo's making good decisions at the end of the game. A part of the freaking benching to me seemed like Melo needed to be on the bench so he can make the right decision at the end of the fucking game and not foul the fuck out. Was he not a big fouler? Does he not turn the ball over when he doesn't need to?
Melo only had 2 fouls for the game. He wasn't in foul trouble.
The point is, it was a defensive split. I think that was important.
But what I'm trying to explain to you is that situation split with Zion James is not so much of an advantage. That's the only thing I'm saying. It's not such a great advantage taking LaMelo out and putting Zion James because Zion James has his advantage where he's a lower center of gravity, right, making it difficult for the dribbler to penetrate. And LaMelo Ball has his advantage because of his length and wingspan to get inside the passing lane and even disrupting some of the smaller guards' shooting ratio. So they both have the advantage. That's why I don't see why there is a need to keep switching them in and out and out and in and all that foolishness. That's the only thing I'm saying.
We'll see how it goes because they're on a win streak. You know, against these better teams, we got to have composure at the end of the game. We'll see if LaMelo keeps doing what he's been doing. In my opinion, he's gotten better at being more composed and making better decisions throughout the game. He already had a reputation for being a player that you couldn't trust because he was playing with iPods in his ears. Apparently, I mean, come on, man. The guy has a reputation for fouling. We know he's not a good defender. Yeah, he's effective offensively, but at the end of these close games, we also got to be effective and make good decisions. Tonight, he made a bad decision, and he's done that a couple times. I love LaMelo's game. I'm not going to tell you that he couldn't dominate a game, but at the end of the day, he's got to make good decisions, man. Tonight, he made a bad decision where it was. I mentioned it earlier. It was 20 seconds on the shot clock. We could have decided this game at that moment, but instead of keeping the ball, he decided he wanted to go to the basket. It turned it over. Why the hell is that happening? He's a superstar. Let me finish. Can I finish that? Can I finish that? Can I finish? Thank you. Can I finish that? All right, so he in another game, we had because he loves to go up and down the court and throw alleys, and I love it too. But he made the worst decision I could imagine, where he decides to go full length of the court and throw an alley-oop that wasn't necessary to Diabate. And I don't know if we lost the game because of that or we won, but I can't remember what game it was, but that was dumb. It wasn't necessary. And I've been preaching on this channel for the longest. If LaMelo matures, he's unstoppable. And we see it happening right now. He's maturing right before your eyes. And Charles Lee is helping that happen faster, in my opinion. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can call Charles Lee, you can say he's not the best coach. I don't know. I don't agree. But I think Charles Lee is what Melo needed.
Hey, why would you agree? You're a Hornets fan. You're a homer.
I'm not a homer. I gotta say this. I think you're trying to sabotage LaMelo because you want him to play with the Lakers.
That's not going to happen no time soon. But
Okay.
I would love for him to play for my team, but it's not going to happen no time soon. LaMelo is where he at, and like I told you before, according to what I know, he loves Charlotte. It's an incredible city. You see a lot of productive black people in high status positions and things of that nature. And where he's from, you don't see that. You don't see that in Chino Hills. You don't even see that in LA, right? And he's not even in LA. He's in Chino Hills, he's IE. But the thing of it is that he feels good about being a Charlotte Hornet, and I'm not going to make him feel uncomfortable being a Charlotte Hornet because they gave him an opportunity to be in the NBA, even though somebody was going to draft him, right? He came in the draft, sullied. A lot of bad stuff was being talked about. LaMelo, only Jonathan Cavoni or whatever his name is, really had good things to say about LaMelo throughout his transition from the Australian Basketball League into the NBA. But outside of that, LaMelo maturity is going to come naturally though, because it's a part of the human growth and development. You're going to have to mature at some stage in your life, and especially if this is your livelihood, you better mature or you're going to lose your livelihood. And the way LaMelo is, I don't think he want to lose his livelihood, right? Because basketball is what got him what he has acquired, right? His personality is allowing him to maintain and expand what he has acquired. I'm not down on Charles Lee. I don't want you to try to paint the picture that I hate Charles Lee, because that's what you're trying to do. I don't hate Charles Lee. I told you how I feel about Charles Lee. All I think I'm saying is that Charles Lee is a part of a 9-game win streak, and the most integral thing that he has done, according to my observation, is get the fuck out the way. That's the only thing I'm saying. If you look at his rotation now, you see that the top 5 or the starters, to make it easier for you, Al, the starters are getting equal amount of minutes, and that's about 30 minutes plus, right? Where in the past, they was getting like 27 minutes, 26 minutes, because he was dangling with the bench a lot. I guess he was trying to figure out who and what he got. And it was obvious. He ain't got much of nothing. The only thing that came off that bench that was of significance and of sustainability was Musa Diabate. Outside of that, a lot of that stuff is gone. And if Jeff Peterson is wiping that bench clean. And thank God he's doing it, right? So that just showed me that Charles Lee digging into that bench, playing them as long as they was playing them, keeping them in as long as he was keeping them in, either they was taken or he just didn't know what the fuck he was doing. One of the two. And so now they turn it around. Well, they're not taking. They're not, and lepers don't change their stripes like that. So what is it? The only pivot that I see is that he is allowing them to be free. Look at Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller is out there shooting shots he's shooting shots that we are unfamiliar with Brandon Miller, right? It's like a shot he never did like. He's almost like the new Glenn Robinson. Because I remember you mentioned Glenn Robinson earlier. That's what Brandon Miller looks like he's trying to become, like more of a
Glenn Rice.
athletic.
Glenn Robinson.
Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice, yeah. Glenn Robinson was Milwaukee. Glenn Rice of Michigan, yeah. So Glenn Rice just wasn't as athletic as Brandon Miller is. But Glenn Rice was cool. Glenn Rice was a dunker, right? Glenn Rice was a shooter. Glenn Rice had the mid-range. Glenn Rice had the three-point shot. And Glenn Rice had a little crossover. He had that little crossover to get that little space, and then he'll pull up on me. So if Brandon Miller is more into that mode, and we're seeing that Brandon Miller is pulling up and doing things without care, then that's showing that Charles Lee is getting out of his way. If we're seeing Airbnb becoming more of um, a spectacle, where at first, remember that kind of went dead for a minute. That went dead for a minute because somebody, I guess, didn't want to see it. You feel me? They don't want to see it. Charlotte Pace had what you call it had slowed. Charlotte Pace has slowed to almost a snail's pace. So why all of this change? And if it was Charles Lee, the the figurehead to this change, then how did they go 180 from slow to Brandon Miller just being almost a spot up shooter to no Airbnb and Lamelo Ball in and out of the rotation? How did that come to be? That came to be because only one thing changed from my observation is Charles Lee was more relaxed. He's like, hey, y'all do your thing, man. But if I notice something, I'm gonna make some change. But outside of that, do your thing. And now the Charlotte Hornets is back to where we want them to be when it comes to pace. Because that's where they're at their best. When they have a very gazelle style offense and they're running their opponent's tongues out of their mouths. That's when Charlotte Hornets is at their best. Because when you're up and down constantly, your opponent defense can't set and they can't be physical because they're constantly running down the court.
But Dex, to your point, yeah, Charles Lee is helping them to. Oh no, Lamelo and Brandon and the young guys are getting up and down the court. That's a fact, and that's a part. Well, I think Charles Lee is using that to their advantage. But also, I think you mentioned, they are running half-court sets. They're slowing the game down, and that's also important because in these slow and methodical games where they need to really strategize, the Hornets are effective now. Under coaches, James Borrego, Clifford, in my opinion, they weren't effective in these half-court sets. They weren't able to get through these hard, tough games and win. But they've been doing that. I think that's because of coaching. You have like Charles Lee, it's just a motivator. He apparently, I've heard that, I don't know how true this is, but I believe it is. He got Brandon watching games. I mean, which is a natural thing coaches should be doing, but he got these guys really being ready and prepared for these matches. I mean, so
that's his job. Okay, he's filling his job.
Okay, that's his job. But these guys were written off, a couple months ago? And to your
That's
point.
my point. Thank you.
Okay, let me finish. But I think they were written off because, and I'm not trying, and I probably will feed into your argument a little bit here, but listen to me. They were written off early in the season because they were, I think Charles Lee was experimenting. But I think that was a good thing. He had no choice. He didn't know whether Brandon was going to be out again or whether Melo was going to get hurt again. They're two best players. So what is he going to do? He going to just keep playing these guys, wearing their legs out and just waiting for them to get hurt? No, they were getting injured, which is why they lost a lot of games, and they came back. They were on injury protocol. So they had to have these guys on the bench so they can get stronger. And so I don't have a problem with it. I look at it half glass half full. You look at it glass half empty. But Charles Lee was strategizing, in my opinion, and putting these young guys that he has on the bench that Jeff gave him and trying to get them game time, get them gameplay, get them on the court, get them minutes so they can play. They made it to the NBA, in my opinion. These guys can do something. So they were trying to get these guys to the point where they can be relied on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes a game at least? Damn, what is he gonna do? Just keep Lamelo on the court the whole game? No, Lamelo can't be on the court the whole game. He's
Don't be ridiculous now.
I'm just saying he needed to get these guys game time, in my opinion.
No.
Zion James.
Hold
Hell,
on.
hold on, Vince. Let me say this. Dijon has gotten better. Do you not notice that? I think that's coaching.
I like T-John. He's one of my favorite players. I like him.
T-John has gotten better. Hell, PJ Hall was playing good. At one point, his best center was PJ fucking Hall. And with his set, they were still effective.
Well, that's who they signed. Jeff Peterson, I don't know what he was thinking, maybe because he's from the Carolinas or whatever, played at Clemson. He signed PJ Hall. I think that was a waste. But nevertheless, only thing I'm saying is that I'm going to put it in a nutshell. Charlotte Hornets was bad, right, in the beginning. It was bad, awful, god awful. I mean, it was just terrible. It was almost a shit show. Almost, not quite, but almost a shit show, right? Definitely a dumpster fire. Now, all of a sudden it changed around. It's still the same players, and Charles Lee is still copy. Charles Lee still, talking to the players and never talking to the refs. Charles Lee still challenging questionable calls from the refs, right? So all that been the same. The only thing that's changed is the players' approach to the game. So how the same guy, right? They ain't getting no new coach. There's no new coach. Same voice, same method, same approach, but all of a sudden the players change. And I'm saying, from my observation of watching basketball since the 70s, that's the only thing I'm saying. It doesn't make me right or wrong. It just saying from my perspective and my observation, because I believe I'm a trained observer, is that something sparked them, but nothing on the surface seemed to have changed. The only thing you can say that you can recognize change is that the starters are playing more minutes together. And
that's the only thing that changed to your opinion, Tex?
Hold on. Let me finish. I didn't put a period at it. There's only a comma. A comma, not a period. So the starters are playing more minutes together.
Just a long sentence.
I just told you I put a comma, so it's not a run-on sentence. The Charlotte Hornets got more healthy, and now I'm landing the plane. And Charles Lee has pivoted to the point where he's freeing up responsibility. That's the only thing I'm saying, and that has contributed tremendously to this win streak. Because normally Lamelo can do something. Yeah, normally Brandon can do something, or Miles can do something, and Charles Lee don't like it. He's taking him right out the game. He's taking him right out.
So what about Dex? We've been talking since the Clifford days on this platform, right? So we've been talking for a minute. Now, do you think the defense has been a change? I mean, come on, man. Give Charles Lee some kind of credit, bro, when it comes to even defense.
Hold on. No. Stop. That coaching staff don't get no credit for that. You know who get credit for that?
Defense?
Listen. See, that's what I understand. You play basketball. You know defense is an effort thing. It has nothing to do with coaching. It's an effort if you're willing to do it or you're not willing to do it. All these players are talented. They're talented enough to be 400 elite players in the NBA. And it's up to them, players individually, do they want to put the effort to play defense? All the coaching staff does is give them assignments. And it's up to them to execute that assignment. That's it.
Okay, that's a big deal. Okay. Hey, man.
No, you don't. Not for that. See, you gotta understand what I'm saying. You could be the best, one of the best communicators in the world, right? Listen to me here. You could be one of the best communicators in the world. And then you got someone that says, I don't understand what you're saying. So if that person don't understand what you're saying, how do you expect that person to move off what you're saying? Until that person grasps or catch up to the understanding, then that person can move off of that, what you're espousing to them, the wisdom that you are expressing. They can move off of that because now they have some form of understanding. But if you're speaking and I don't really understand what you're saying, it just sounds like gibberish. It sounds like a foreign language. And so when it comes to playing defense, that's the effort thing. I mean, how many coaches you hear during games and even podcasts speaking about effort? They're not speaking about, oh, I'm the genius. I tapped into this individual, blah blah this and blah blah that. No, they don't really. I mean, seriously, they don't do that. I mean, if you're just an egomaniac, of course you're gonna try to take credit, right? But if you a real person, you're gonna say, all I did was speak it, and they responded. That's what you're supposed to say. And sometimes a bullshitter is when they don't introduce that kind of verbiage. When they don't introduce that type of verbiage, oh, he's a bullshit, he's a con man, he's a scammer. Because they try to keep you away from the actual reality of how this thing works. And they try to make it seem like they are the engineers of it. And that's a bullshitter to me. I've been around too long. I've been around over 50 years. Just think about that. Over 50 years on this earth. And these people have been here longer than me, but I'm going to say me, myself. I've been on this earth over 50 years.
You're such a good coach. You're such a good coach. And over your 50 years, that your best player turned to football instead of continuing to play basketball.
That's how I know. That's how I know bullshit. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh,
That's how I know bullshit. Because I coached a guy in basketball that was talented. And I'm such a good coach that dude excelled in football. He became a professional football player.
This is your king right here, Jack. This is your king.
You feel me? So that's how I know you cannot just sit there and take credit for it. Because
oh my God.
Regardless of how much experience I try to impart in this individual, when it came to basketball, something else sparked him. You feel me? Something else sparked him, and what the thing that sparked him turned him away from my tutelage, and he went into another direction and became a millionaire. So that's the only thing I'm saying. So stop trying to give credit to one individual when it's basically a team effort. Charles Lee gets some, but he don't get all. And that's why I don't like when he do his press gamers a lot of times, because he doesn't go into the minutia of what's happening. Yeah, these guys turn me out. They tune me out. But, I had to go into a dark space, look in the mirror and see what am I doing to contribute to this detriment. And I found out what I was doing. And that was my ego was bigger than my communicative skills. And now I'm pivoting and getting out the way and letting these players express their talent more freely. But I told them they got to be accountable now, because with freedom comes accountability, right? You can't be free and not be accountable, because that land you in prison. So if you want to be free out on the court a little more, then you have to be accountable on the court a little more. And when you talk like that, everybody know you're a real coach. You ain't trying to prove that you belong and try to make it seem like you're the master of the mix. And that's the only thing I'm saying. So I know bullshit when I hear it, and I know bullshit when I see it. That's all. Charles Lee gets some credit. I don't hate him, but I know he's a bullshitter. He's a professional bullshitter. I do know that.
So he get credit for being a motivator. Okay. Motivate his players. That's all he's doing.
I think all coaches are motivators. You got to be a motivator to be a coach. If you're not, you're going to get fired instantly, right?
So he doesn't have a game plan, in your opinion? He doesn't have a game plan that's improved the defense of his players?
But what I just said, listen to what I'm saying, Big Al. because I know you're dealing with dyslexia.
Don't start. That's your nickname, Dyslexic Dex. What are you talking about?
Okay. Let me hold back then. Let me not be so offensive.
Yeah, don't start. Don't start.
The thing of it is this, Big Al, is that Charles Lee is a motivator. He's definitely a motivator. I mean, I'm quite sure if you probably was to hear him on a speaking circuit, you'd be like, wow, I didn't know this dude could speak like this. So you got to be a motivator to be in charge of people making millions of dollars. You understand what I'm saying? And some of them making hundreds of millions. So you have to be some kind of a motivator, but you don't have to be over motivational because these players are self motivated because they got to where they are anyway without you, right? So only thing you're supposed to do is be more of a guide in their continuance to be the best who they can be according to the occupation they chose. And the occupation they chose is to be a basketball player, a professional basketball player. Get paid and have fun at the same time. When you are getting paid and not having fun, a lot of times you probably want to switch. But the only reason why you don't switch is because you're getting paid and bills you gotta meet those demands. So you have to deal with
according to you, Dex, Phil Jackson was a bullshitter.
No, Phil Jackson stayed out the way. Didn't you read his book?
Oh, okay. That was
Have you ever heard Phil Jackson speak?
I haven't read his book. I haven't read his book, but he stayed out the way. He didn't really coach MJ.
Phil Jackson used to whistle. Listen to this. Phil Jackson used to whistle, and according to the decibels and the silence of his whistle, players responded almost like like dogs respond to a dog whistle. You feel what I'm saying? So in practice, Phil would make you do all of these things in practice, and he would whistle when he want adjustment. So during the game, he didn't have to do all that speaking and run up and down the court. All he do was whistle or get into the referee's ear to protect his players. And the players responded based on the sound and the sonics of the whistle. They knew what it meant. You understand what I'm saying? So he would tell you the players are the one playing the game. The job of somebody like me is to help motivate them and to show them that they can get the job done. Not push them and finger point constantly if they don't do it exactly the way I say do it. That's
So
Phil Jackson.
all right, Dex. I mean, you don't warn me out. I hadn't said much in my opinion.
You know why you wore out? Because you're too hyperbolic. You get on the gravy train and you think that's to be all to end all. And I'm here to rectify it and make sure that you stay even keel. Because
how do you say I'm like that? Time out,
when Charlotte's not doing good, you somber, you sad. When Charlotte's doing great, you excited, you happy, you thrilled, you exhilarated. That's not we don't want Big Al like that. We want Big Al to be cool until the fat lady.
I'm right here. You ain't gotta what third person, whatever you just talk to me. All right. So anyway, Dex, I'm worn out, man. I can't take it no more, man. You bullshitted me too long. I can't take it, man.
No, Charlie bullshit you. It wasn't me. That's
I can't take it, man. I cannot take it. Chat, this guy.
You heard that post conference. You heard that post game conference.
This guy has minimized
that one time that Charlie said, you know what?
Coach.
I step back and I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna give them an opportunity to express themselves. Let's see how far this goes. He didn't say that not one time, and that's exactly what's going on right now.
Jay Jones, spot on. Charles Lee had to figure out his roster. He had to figure out his roster. So he played guys maybe longer than he should have been playing on the court. He probably took Lamelo when he had his 5th foul in the second quarter and put him on a bench longer than you think he should have. Brandon was hurt most of the season.
No,
he just got healthy. Grant was hurt.
You guys are suffering from selective hearing. I said if it's an emergency, I said if it's a matchup mayhem, yes, the situation changed, the dynamic changed. But if it's just a regular day in the park, what is all this? You're overcoaching. For what? And look what happens when you overcoach. Not only are you losing, the team is in despair. And now there's infighting.
Hold on, you're talking about they're not losing though. You talking about Charles Lee overcoaching, but they're winning. What are you talking about?
But you never heard what I said earlier.
Most of the last year's guys were hurt though, Dex. What do you mean? He didn't have his full roster of players, and also what?
I'm not going to let you trick. I'm not going to let you
talk, Dex.
No, because you're being ignorant right now. I didn't explain because I didn't explain that Charles Lee.
You dyslexic. Shut the hell up. Let me talk, bro. Let me say this.
I didn't explain to you on several occasions. So your educational level must be pretty low tonight. But I didn't explain to you. I said that they got healthy.
My education level ain't never changed, sir.
That's devastating, then. That's devastating.
I am a software engineer, sir. So my education level is pretty high. So I want you to take that bullshit back. But hold up, listen.
That explains everything.
Charles Lee has done a great job, in my opinion, managing what he's had. For years, we've complained about this thing not even having talent enough to have backups. We complained about Lamelo having players beside him. They finally got guys beside him, and they fucking getting hurt. AKA Brandon hurt last year. Greg getting hurt the whole year last year. Can I finish?
I spoke on that already.
And then we got Melo getting hurt. He's always getting hurt. Now he's finally on the court constantly, but he's on injury protocol. Before he got hurt, before this stint of him not being hurt, and at the beginning of the season when Brandon was hurt, he had foul trouble issues. I felt that was a big part of why he was on the bench. At the end of the day, Charles Lee has overcome a lot of obstacles that this group of players have bestowed upon him.
He aided into this situation prior to
this. Let me say this also. Charles Lee has not only had to win, but I think one of his calling cards and why he got hired was the fact that he was a coach that could develop players. So he got to develop, he's got to win, and he's got to manage these fucking personalities. So at the end of the day,
Big Al, listen, you are being ignorantly redundant. We already went over all these points. No, we already went over these points. We went over these points already. The injuries, the minutes.
But why aren't you factoring that in when you look at his tenure and you talk about you want him to get fired? I mean, I know you're not saying that now. I know you're not saying that now, but you felt like that was a thing earlier in the season. A lot of people felt like that. But in my opinion, why are you guys saying that when this guy is dealing with injuries? He's dealing with guys who have bad habits as well, and then he doesn't have a good set of players, at least a good set of players that are finally developed and can truly contribute. So, I mean, when we got those kind of obstacles, Charles Lee has got to get some kind of credit for this win right now. And in my opinion, just like the chat, Charles Lee deserves kudos. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get off. If the Hornets make it to the playoffs, I think Charles Lee should get Coach of the Year. And I'm out.
Yeah, okay, you can get out. But he's not winning Coach of the Year. That's San Antonio's coach to lose. And if he does that, then it's going to be Detroit Pistons, Bernie Bickerstaff, Jr. He's not nowhere. See, that's what I'm saying. You too hyperbolic. Charles Lee is nowhere near in the coaching of the year category. He's not even nowhere near a candidate. You know, they're still trying to get into a play-in situation. So I don't know where you getting this coach of the year stuff. All you're doing is just fanning the flames of overhyping this win streak. The win streak is good. It's good for basketball. Charlotte Hornets is the winningest team in basketball right now. They surpassed the New York Knicks with this 9th win in a row, and they currently hold the longest win streak in this portion of the season. So that's all good and dandy. But only thing I'm trying to say, and I'm going to reiterate, is that Charles Lee gets the bulk of his credit because he pivoted. He's not so much micromanaging anymore. And that's the only thing I'm saying. When he was doing his micromanaging, trying to show that he could put his fingerprint on the team and the game's success and things of that nature, the Charlotte Hornets was horrible. It was god awful. Who would want to watch that? Not even I. As soon as I watch it from the start, as soon as they take Lamelo out, I turn it off and don't even go back to it. I see the bullshit about ready to start. That's the only thing I'm saying. Other than that, I don't have no problems with the man. I know he came cheap. I know Charlotte Hornets spent a ton of money to acquire the team. So they had to cut costs somewhere. And unfortunately, they cut costs with the coach. So you get what you pay for. And I agree with that, Nate. And that's what I was trying to share with Big Al, is that the spark came from the players is because they have been released from the prison of Charles Lee ego. So they're expressing themselves a little more. Now there's potential of more mistakes, but at the same time you feel better about your game and better about your presence on the hardwood when you have a coach and coaching staff that is allowing you to play. And you know what? I think Kemba Walker might have something to do with that. Why we're not mentioning Kemba Walker, because he has been in this situation, right? Kemba Walker has been in this situation. So maybe he might have came to the table and shared his views on players' participation. That some of these players need to express themselves and their game is being suppressed. I'm quite sure he didn't dig at Charles Lee, but I'm digging at Charles Lee saying that he was micromanaging and the results were in and it was unfavorable. Now it appears that he has pivoted and has shrunken his ego to the point where he allowing the players to express themselves without him responding negatively to this newfound expression. And Brandon Miller is playing like player of the week for the Eastern Conference. Did we ever expect that out of Brandon Miller? 9-game win streak. Con Knipple is one of the leaders in 3-point shooting and high candidate for Rookie of the Year. It's not just a runaway for Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag got competition. I'm talking about serious competition. And it's coming right out of the Beehive. Not the Beehive, I take that back. It's coming right out of the hive. So there's a lot of good things going on for the Hornets. I point out my discrepancies with Charles Lee. And people try to make it appear that I don't like Charles Lee. It has nothing to do with what I like and dislike. What it has to do with Charles Lee is that his dictation wasn't resonating with the Charlotte Hornets. That's the only thing I'm saying. And now I believe Jeff Peterson took him into the back room and talked to him. Listen, this is your job to lose. Take the handcuffs off some of these players. Let's see where this goes. And look what happened. 9-game win streak. Basketball is a game that is played with 5 individuals. It's not football. Football is played with 11 team members. Because in football, the only thing you could design or scheme in areas. Basketball, similar, but you cannot be fixed in those areas. You feel me? Football, you can be fixed in areas. 7 yards off the ball, 5 yards, in or out. That's it. That's your job. You can't do that in basketball. You got to play that whole court. 90 feet. You got to play the whole 90 feet, man. Or you're going to get burned. And the only time you might can get a stimulus of rest if the player you up against is not a threat to that level. That maybe you can slack off a little bit in basketball. So that's why it's important to allow the players to express themselves. Of course, you got to keep them under control to a certain degree, right? That's what the timeouts are for. That's what the substitutions are for. That's where the verbal communication comes in when there's a dead ball and players are taking it out on the sideline or they're shooting free throws. When there's a dead spot in the game, you can start verbalizing. And most of your instructions are not in the game. In game are adjustments, not instructions, adjustments. So most of your instructions is in practice. And once the season starts, you don't get that practice often. You might get a walkthrough here or there. Players are, trying to recoup from minor injuries and they have other business aspects they need to do while they're on the road or something to that nature. They're getting a lot of rest. So they're not being disturbed often. So prior to the season, when you're at home and things of that nature, you have your practice. That's where you inculcate your game plan. That's where you inculcate your game plan. So when you get to the game, you can make adjustments. In-game adjustments, halftime adjustments, etc., etc. Flight Sports TV, man. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most definitely hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of any.
That's right, Dex. Listen, we're going to pull back up tomorrow. This was an epic stream, post-game report for the people. Shout out to All Access. Shout out to everybody that pulled up tonight. It's Flight Sports TV. Make sure you put the bell on the icon. You heard what Dex said. Peace and love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Said Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.